I'm hot tonight.
Everybody have fun tonight.
Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
I feel the minutes count down on the clock again. Feel like I'm playing in a game that I can never win. Time is running out, I know I gotta make a choice. So many whispers in my ear that I can't hear my voice. Tell me, will it end the situation that I'm in? Or am I bound to sit alone, drowning in my sins? Get right or get left, what will it be? Time is running out, the blood is flowing down the streets. People need to know we're living.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros Podcast. I'm your host, Resident Darrell, and tonight I got the bearded nerd. What's up, Zach?
What's going on, everybody?
And then we got Mr. Team NT84. What's up, Joe?
Yo!
Yo. So we are recording this in, like the backwards order. We've already had our excellent freaking interview. We're coming off hot from a great interview with Patrick Hickey Jr. talking Wrestlequest. Anytime Kalai leaves the boys here, to rule the roost, we're going to talk wrestling. And we just so happened to get a very talented voice actor on the show to talk Wrestlequest. So that was a great interview. Can't wait to put that to the end of the show. So we want to do right.
Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
So what we want to do is kind of do the normal run of the show now, boys. So you guys got your stuff so we can toast?
Always.
Let's get her done.
I got a fake banana.
I don't think you can toast with a fake banana unless you put it in your bum. Then it'll count. Because when you pull it out,
banana.
I got no chocolate.
when you pull it out, it's like, and that could be it'd be the cracking of your can. So, all right, this week's toast is going to go out to our Patreon producers. We got Redbeard Rick. My name is Mayo. We have MZ Nitro. That's right, Mr. Sody Pony to you. I had a brain fart because my mouse died. I was trying to click around, and then
Don't worry, CJ. Daryl's brain might be everywhere, but mine's not. I still love you.
There you go. All right. And then we also want to toast our guest this week, Mr. Patrick Hickey Jr., editor-in-chief of Legacy Comix and voice actor extraordinaire. He was a blast to have on the show. Get that banana. There you go. It's actually weird. We don't typically record with the cameras on. But actually watching Zach slurp his drink while I'm slurping mine just kind of made it weird. It was like this weird eye contact that we had going.
Well, no, it was. I think it was good because we were able to time it better. That was like the best timed one we've had.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, we're also joined by Spider Packs in the background. Say what's up, buddy.
Hello.
Yeah. So Spider Packs dropped down here during the middle of the interview, and he's like, "Dad, I just want to hang out with my sibling." I was like, "Son, I'm not your sibling. I'm your dad." He goes, "Yeah, you're my dad's sibling." So, all right, guys, we're going to get into the normal business. But before we do that, check out all of the social stuff. If you listen to the podcast and you like what you hear, check out Loot Bros Podcast Instagram. We're posting all kinds of cool pictures of the games and stuff we buy. Check out the Discord. We've had more people jumping into the Discord, slowly but surely. But in the show notes will be the Linktree links. Definitely click on it. Join the Discord, get in the fun conversation. We got a great group over there. And we also have a Facebook group, Facebook/groups.whatever, Loot Bros Podcast. Just join in and check it out. Also, be sure to leave a 5-star review on either Spotify or Apple iTunes to get those reviews in, because guys, that's making a huge difference in the numbers and the things that we're seeing. I was telling you guys beforehand, we did have a big increase of people giving us the old 5-star, and it makes a huge difference on what our numbers are each week. It's crazy. So, and we got some new reviews in, and those have been awesome. Yes,
Are you reading one on the show tonight?
You know what, Joe? I can definitely do that. I will definitely read the latest iTunes reviews. Now, somebody wrote into me. I'm not going to say who it was. And they said that they left us a nice, funny review, and it never came over. So if you have left a review on the iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, double check and make sure it actually went through. So Malika Kalihana says, fantastic show. Darrell is amazing. You don't have to say anything else after that. That's basically all the review you need. Joe's love of the Switch keeps me coming back, and Zach makes me laugh all the time. But man, that girl Kalai is the bomb. Not bad. Not a bad review. The PS Gamer Guru wrote in and said, my favorite podcast. Says, this is a great podcast. Week after week, they make me laugh. I also agree very much with Darrell's take on Batman. Batfleck is the best. Keep up the great work. Look at that. I'm not even joking. Yeah.
I smell some BS on that review. Who wrote that? Who'd you pay to write that, or what alias name did you write that under? Don't you worry about that one, big boy. And then we got one from the dude bro Lutsky. A great show, 5 stars, great show, super funny. So yes, definitely very awesome, very very awesome. So be leaving those reviews. It makes a huge difference, man. I'm telling you, if you guys just don't understand. It puts our show out in front of other people, and we greatly, greatly appreciate that. And then, so what we're doing, I announced this in the Discord and the Facebook group. We've got a new merch store. All right. It's a storefrontier.com/the Loot Bros. If you go to it, we've got new shirts. We got a brand new Loot Bros podcast shirt with a brand new Loot Bros podcast logo. And we have a brand new Loot Bros Comic Cast shirt with a new Comic Cast logo. Both of those shirts are available for $15 each. And I have the shirts marked down as low as they would allow me to go. If I could have made them $10 each, I would have made them $10 each. But literally not making any money off of it. But we don't just offer shirts. If you click through the little drop down and see what type of product you want, we've got baseball shirts, tie-dye shirts. Did you guys see the tie-dye shirts? They look pretty snazzy. I was
oh, pretty man. Cool. I'm not a tie-dye person, but I was like, that's actually pretty dope. You can get Loot Bros koozies. Definitely got some koozies on the way, man. Those are awesome. So, but you can get baseball shirts, koozies. You can get joggers, Loot Bros joggers. So, don't know if you guys like the old tight sweatpants, but they're definitely on there. A bunch of cool stuff.
You can even get Loot Bros tank tops for all your working out and gym needs.
That's right.
That's what I'm listening to while I'm at the gym.
That's right. When you're getting your pump and you get that iron, you get it all going, getting swolt and all that good stuff. So yeah. So what I decided to do was I'm going to give out one free t-shirt, maybe 2, maybe 10. Who knows? Definitely at least 1, and some koozies and some stickers, all that good stuff. When we get to 100 either reviews or 5 stars. Now, why do you say 100? In the past, you've been doing giveaways or you were doing different things for every 10. When we got rid of the red Loot Bros feed and we were left with the current feed, we lost close to 50 reviews, right? It was like 47 or 49 reviews. Okay. And that makes a huge difference whenever you are looking for placement on the charts and all that good stuff, right? So the more reviews we get, the more plays we get, the more engagement we get, the higher we move up the charts, and it makes us more visible. It's not about being number one. It's just about being in a position where people can see the show and they'll check the show out. We got a nice snazzy new logo. So we want people to look at it and go, oh, that's really cool. Maybe these guys know a thing or two about games. So what I'm going to do is between the two platforms, Spotify and iTunes, for all you Google Play listeners, Castbox listeners, Podbean listeners, I'm sorry, I can't really monitor the other ones all that well. But if we get to 100 reviews / stars between the platforms, every single person that writes in or screenshots or sends that to me is getting added to this document that we have, and we'll do a giveaway, or 3 or 4. We're going to do multiple giveaways. I don't know. I'm a fairly generous person, so I might do multiple giveaways. We're definitely going to give some Loot Bros swag away as a way of saying thank you, because the more you guys do it, the more people see us. Does that sound good?
Oh, sounds lovely.
Oh my gosh, you just blew my eardrum straight out of my bottom. So, with that being said, Joe, why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
A lot of things this week. Not a lot of PlayStation, really. Take a little break, but I've played a shit ton of Werewolf the Apocalypse.
What are you playing it on?
PlayStation Now, actually.
Okay. It's a good game.
I'm enjoying it. I'm pretty much done with this game. I got 66% of the trophies, 34 out of 44 trophies. I may go back and get the plat on this.
There you go.
I may do it because I'm only missing 10 trophies, and I think I'm about to get like 3 more right now when I beat the game. But
do it.
It's a pretty fun game. It's your basic, werewolf game where you just fuck shit up.
Your basic werewolf game.
Basic werewolf game.
Like we've had a bunch of those.
Yeah, I know. It's like, Well, if we did have a lot of werewolf games, I assume it would be like this one.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you play this guy, and he can turn into a werewolf. So he's what a lichen, I guess.
Yep.
Because right, that's a human that can turn into a werewolf.
Yep.
So he's a lichen, and like his tribe. There's some stuff going on in his tribe. I don't want to spoil the game because, like, if I tell you any of the story, it just spoils it. Like, really, it does.
Yeah, it's not a ton of story there. So
no. So, but what I'm loving it because the werewolf combat is pretty sick. Like, you can run around as. I'm loving it. You can run around as a werewolf, and you can just like straight like just murder people, murder, death, kill, and
187.
Yep. And then the enemies can shoot like these silver bullets, basically. And what happens when you get shot with a silver bullet is it fills up your health bar like silver, like I guess like silver, and then you can't get that health back, but you can get all your health up to that point back. So if they shoot you enough, those guys, like you can't heal. So it's kind of annoying, but at the same time, it's challenging. And I'm just liking the game a lot. Like I've beat like half of it today and like half of it in another sitting, like 2 weekends ago. I pretty much beat this all in like 2 sittings, and it takes a lot for me to sit down and just keep playing through a game. But like this game just captivated me in a way like a game hasn't captivated me in a while because it reminds me of those old school kind of like licensed games where it was all just about the combat and like the fun than it was the actual story. So it's like it takes one of those games and shoves it in like a nonsensical story that I can care about just enough to get me through the story, but also like the combat's just so good I could just skip all the story if I didn't want to listen to it. But I'm liking what I'm playing. I'm honestly gonna try and do a little more of a deep dive review when I finish it. Maybe go back and watch some cutscenes again because half the time I'm not paying attention because you know how it is. As a gamer, trying to multitask, listen to podcasts while you're gaming, doing all these kind of crazy things while you should just be paying attention to the game you're playing. But I can't do that. I have hardcore ADHD to the point where like if like a bird flew by my window, I'd be like, "Oh shit, bird!" So squirrel.
Hi
there. So there's that. What else? Oh, Darrell. So I played this sick ass roguelike game. It's on PS4, Switch, Xbox Game Pass, and PlayStation Now, and it's on Nintendo Switch, and it's only $6 right now on Nintendo Switch. It's called Fury Unleashed. And this game is absolutely, it's like Contra meets like Hades meets like Dead Cells. And this game is so freaking good. So you drop in, it's kind of like Contra, you drop in the jungle and you start shooting shit up, but it's a roguelike. So every time you die, every time you kill things, you get like these energy cells, and then you trade them in to upgrade your guy, but you level up too. So like you level up, you get stronger, and you replay the chapters and you fight the bosses. It's like really deep. And I bought it. I got it for free on PlayStation Now, but then I went and bought it on Switch.
Oh,
that's where I like to. That's where I like to play my roguelikes because it's just an easy game to pick up and play. And I recommend it. It's called Fury Unleashed. Fun stuff.
Nice.
Like I've
seen it. I know what you're talking about. Oh,
it's
wow,
co-op, and it's co-op. So it's a co-op roguelike. So it's really cool. I'm definitely gonna play more. What else did I play? I played Lego, a little bit more Lego City Undercover. That's
nice.
Fun stuff.
Just Legos. You keep going.
Yeah, it's Legos, Been chipping away at 2K22. I'm 44% done with the trophies, so I'm getting there. That's mostly all in like the first 2 days the game came out though. So like trophy progress is kind of hard at this point because now it's all like I feel like I could get a lot if I started my Rise, I would probably get a bunch of them done in like one night, but I still haven't even touched my Rise yet. I've been playing my universe so much that I haven't even touched my Rise. Like Corey and I started our own universe where we started like messing around with like we downloaded all these video game characters, Darrell. So we started our own federation, and it was really funny because like we had a Royal Rumble and we did it on Twitch. We didn't do it on Twitch. We should have. No, I think we did do it on Twitch. And we did a 30-man Rumble with like Batman. No, it was all video game characters. So it was like Sonic was in it.
Yeah.
And like Chris Redfield was in there punching people in the face. And then we did a 6-woman or 8-woman ladder match. And the match was like an hour and 30 minutes long.
Dude, that's awesome.
And it just went and the game, and Corey's like, I'm not even a wrestling fan, but I could watch this all night and commentate because the game is just so fluid. He's like, this game just plays so well. Like, and just like a little bit of history about me and playing wrestling games. After I finished like unlocking everything in a wrestling game when I was a kid, all I did was like take out my notebook and like make like match logs. Like, you know, those like black composition notebooks that you would get for class, like the little like ones that were like yay big.
Oh yeah,
the little white ones with like you would color in the front of it with pen. Like those.
Well, I've got a whole pack of these and a whole stack of those. Those ones. Mortgage notes right here, baby.
Yeah, your mortgage notebooks. So like I would fill those. I would do 4 front and back, 2 pages front and back, and then it would be like 2 pages with like Raw, then your SmackDown, then your Sunday Night Heat, and then the last page on the second page would be my pay-per-view. And I do a pay-per-view like every 4 events, and I would fill these marble notebooks because I would play SmackDown. My favorite one to do it with was SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, because the game was just so fast and arcadey.
That was a good game.
So when you play like computer versus computer, the matches were like super competitive and anybody could win. So it was like crazy. But I would go back and forth, and then as I got older, I got like super intricate with it. I made like Excel spreadsheets, and like I don't know if you guys ever watch this old show. It's called like WMAC Masters. It was on like Fox, where like it was like Mortal Kombat mixed with like martial arts. And every time the guys won a match, they would get like the pendant of the guy they beat, and they put it in this belt. And once you got 10 pendants, you went to fight the guy in the arena for the title. So I did that with one of the Raw games, where like every time you beat a wrestler, you would get their pendant. And then once you beat 10 of them, you got to challenge whoever the champ was at the time. And I had one champ that was champ for like a whole composition book because you just never lost. Like,
dude, that's awesome.
And I still do that to this day. Like I still sit and simulate matches. Like I did it I looked on because like, you know, it's funny when you buy your PS5, you can see how long you played some of your PS4 games. And it like just really opens you up to how like much of a nerd you are and how much life how much life you wasted on this console. But like I think like one of the SmackDown or one of the WWE 2K games or one of the WWE games, I think it was like 2K15 or 16. I put like 560 hours in that game, and I was like, God. It's like
that's a lot.
It's funny because like when I get the first thing my friends and I do is when we get the new WWE games, when we used to have our wrestling podcast, which is what I did before I did video game podcasting, I had a show called Wrestle Dork Radio with my friends. If I can find the episodes, I will. It was my friend came up with it. So if I can ever find the episodes, I'll send them to you because they're fucking hilarious. Because it's funny because I'm like the really negative guy. Wow, what a surprise! I'm the negative. I'm the negative one. But I predicted how bad WWE was going to be like 5 years ago, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Like I said, all this was going to happen. Like they keep spoon feeding us all this garbage, and like people keep eating it, and they're like, tastes so good. Let's keep it up. And I was like, no, this is going to be the downfall of them, and they're not going to be able to recover from this. And I was right. And my friends to this day are like, man, you were really right on the show. We used to give you so much shit for being so negative. I was like, well, I don't really have anything to negative
you
about
need to
anymore.
Find those episodes, and we'll put them on Patreon.
Oh my God, they're so funny, dude. Yeah, like we did one about the Hall of Fame, and there's one where my friend like curses me out so bad that like we had to cut the feed and like cut the episode. Because he just got so pissed at what I was saying. He just took it like too far personally and started like saying things you can't say on a podcast. And I was like, whoa. We need to cut. And so we cut the feed and we kicked him out of our show. It was insane, Darrell.
We need that. We can, that's all fair. All that stuff's fair on Patreon. You can say whatever you want.
Oh my God. So I was like, oh shit, man. So I've been playing that. I almost done with Dynasty Warriors 7 for PS3. Like I said, I'm going to go back and play all those. Dynasty Warriors 8 was on sale the other day in the Switch, and I almost bought it. But I was like, I have too many of those games to play. And the Fire Emblem one comes out for Switch next month, and then that's going to own my life. So, and there's some like Japanese like waifu / Muso game coming out this month. And CJ was talking to me about it the other day, and I was like, dude, this is like totally us. It's not only is it like a waifu simulator, like dating sim thing, but it's also a Muso game on top of it. Like, what the fuck? I was like, this game looks insane, and I was like, it's $60. I was like,
you know what I hear? You know what I hear? I hear a bunch of you not playing them pledge games. That's what I hear.
So my next game I played, fuck you to you. So the next game, so I actually played some Need for Speed Payback, and now we will come to Joe's rant of the week.
There we go. Let me fix my mic and sit back.
This game is so much fun, but seriously, fuck the drifting. The dirt levels are so fucking annoying. I can't say it enough how much pain these levels bring me, that I played this one dirt race like 78 times because I kept like marking check marks on my peeps paper. I was like, how many times have I got to play this level before I actually beat it? Like, the cars handle so shitty on the dirt levels that I'm like, what the fuck am I playing? Like, the game up to this point was like so good, and I was like, I love it. I like the story's not bad. It's not the greatest. They never really are. Like, one of my favorite Need for Speed stories, which is terrible, is The Run. The Run is just so bad it's good. It's the one where like you run cross country. That was such a good game. It was bad, and I was like, this game, the story is serviceable, but like, man, like the car mechanics are great until you get to the dirt sequences, and I'm like, these dirt races suck ass. Like, who was like, oh yeah, let's make this great game, and then let's put these fucking dirt races in the middle of it just to fucking slow your progress down. I was like, who thought of this? Like, who was like, oh man, this, it'd be great in this game, dirt races. Because you know what everybody wants to, all these Fast and Furious guys, they want dirt races in their games. No, we don't. We don't at all. So I played a little bit of that, and then I opened up and quickly closed Bloodborne because I was like, no.
I forgot you got to play that one.
I'm not ready for this right now.
Yeah.
I feel like Bloodborne's probably one of the hardest ones out of all the Soulsborne games, because I feel like even with like Demon Souls and even Elden Ring, I found Elden Ring to be more palatable. And I love Bloodborne. It's a great game, don't get me wrong. But I feel like the challenge in that and the challenge in Elden Ring are like two different levels. Like, Elden Ring is like, I feel like when I die, it's because I'm just not powerful enough or I made a mistake. In Bloodborne, I feel like I die because it's cheap bullshit.
Yep, I agree.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I did beat Father Gascoigne on my second try, so like
Me
you,
too.
like you, Darrell.
Yeah.
Like you, Darrell. I'm not no.
I'm no slouch.
No slouch, no putts at this game. Like I pretty much I know my way around some Souls games. I played a lot of them. I never beat one though, so I think like this is a real big challenge for me, is to finally put one down. Like I've gotten far in a lot of them, just never finished them because I felt like I don't know, I never want to finish these fucking things.
Yeah, dude, I would say I'd join in and play with you, but I'm just gonna make it worse for you because I suck at that game. Which is crazy because Father Gascoigne, everybody says, is like super hard. I beat him my second try. It took me 8 hours to beat the first boss. 8 freaking hours.
It took me a few tries to beat the first one. I think it took me like maybe 8 or 9 tries. But like once I got like the dodging down of like his foot stomps, I was like, all right, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
And then I remember there's a guy, he's like 7 or 8 bosses away from you. He has this cage on his head. Oh my gosh, dude. He killed me 100 times. Easy.
But honestly, like I'm having a blast playing the Pledge games because I'm actually like taking notes while I play them, so I can actually like talk about them more in depth. Because I think that's what people want. They want their Super Loot Bros episode, their Super Loot Bros deep dives out of these things.
Yep.
And I have to say thank you for pledging, guys. It's a real pleasure to play games for you guys. And it is a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong, because it takes me away from the things I absolutely want to play. But it also introduces me to a lot of things I probably never would have touched, or gives me opportunity, or forces me to play games that I actually want to play that I just put on the back burner.
Yeah, like I don't think I would have ever come back to like Sleeping Dogs as it being an older, like slightly older game.
Fucking masterpiece.
Or even the Outer Worlds, because I downloaded it before and I was kind of like on the fence about playing it, and I was like, yeah, do I really want to play like a short RPG that's had kind of mixed signals?
So when you're playing Sleeping Dogs, because you have the definitive edition?
Yeah, I got it for $4.50 on G2A.
Nice. Yep. When you get to a certain point in the game, you can go to a secret island. Go to the secret island.
Darrell, I'm guessing
I'm not at the secret island.
So when you get to the secret island, the game turns into a Mortal Kombat clone. It's one of the DLCs. And basically you fight a Mortal Kombat style tournament in the game. And it's fucking cool. Because it's all like voice acted and story done, and it's so fucking cool. It's dope. And I accidentally stumbled there trying to beat the game. Like I just like followed a marker, and I was like, "Oh, this is a marker for the next story. No marker for the DLC. Oops." Yep. And then it like cut to this like crazy cinematic, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Or maybe it was a menu option, and I clicked on it. I don't remember. I was fucking around one night with the game, and I did something. Rob Van Dam,
RVD,
the whole effing show.
That's right.
One of the greatest ever did.
So, Josh, Zach and I are both pledged to play Sleeping Dogs.
Oh, we're doing a super deep dive on that. I fucking love that game.
The goal is by the end of May, all right, to finish that one up. So,
and guys, honestly, we'll eventually give you your episode on Dark Pictures Anthologies House of Ashes.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
Well, eventually, I'll eventually.
I think October is a good time for that. Maybe we'll wait till October.
Yeah, actually, I like that idea. We could do kind of like, because it does have those horror elements to it. I do like.
I mean, I'm sure we'll fucking have a deep dive for fucking the other one by then.
The Quarry.
We'll probably have that done in the month it comes out, because I am dedicating my life to that game the day it comes out.
Yes.
I cannot wait.
Dude, The Quarry has a cinematic mode where you can just watch the game play out without any decisions being made. I think I might do that first. I've never. That would be so awesome. I would just watch it. Just sit back and watch it like a movie.
I can't wait to play that game. I can't wait to play that. And I think I'm gonna do an anniversary. Well, not an anniversary stream, but I think I'm gonna do a stream of all of the games leading up to the release of that one. I think I'm gonna do every single one, but I want to do them. I might do them for
Extra Life.
Well, no. Oh, I beat the game. Let's go. +2.
Oh, dang.
Trophy.
That's
shit. I gotta fucking take a picture of the credits. Damn.
Yeah, that's right. We're don't
count. Hold on. Right in the middle of playing. So.
Hey, Zach Housen says get to the point, Housen.
Yeah.
Dude, or be cursed.
Hookhausen's gonna be the greatest tag team ever. Hookhausen's gonna be great.
All right, real quick, what's better, Ezekiel and his imaginary brother Elias, or Danhausen?
No.
I don't know,
Elias,
man.
That's some good stuff, dude.
Kevin Owens just sells that so well, man. Like, if we want to take a break and talk about this, Monday Night Raw is absolutely hilarious. Just because of Kevin Owens every week. He's a liar! What do you mean?
He posted a picture of him doing like a stinger splash, and he was like, man, these are the things me and my brother Elias used to talk about. Like, we just can't believe that this kind of stuff's finally happening. And the way he just talks about...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The way he talks about his brother on social media is hilarious.
110%. Because he's actually posted a picture of them together, and you can clearly tell that it was photoshopped.
I love it, dude. It's so good.
Did you see that they want to bring in Damian Sandow to play Elias?
Yeah, I saw that there's a petition.
That's the rumors. Yeah, there's a petition, and like. They really want to bring in Damian Sandow to play Elias.
Dude,
because they think, it would be so good.
Ridiculous.
Because then they could prove Kevin Owens wrong. See what? I'm Ezekiel. They have like a meltdown in the middle of
the ring. He would sell it too. He would totally stone cold face, of course I'm Elias.
So, update live on the show. I did just finish Werewolf Apocalypse.
Nice.
Just running through the game and not trying to get too many trophies. I got 79% of the trophies. 37 trophies out of 44.
That's nice. That's a good haul. That's a good haul.
That's a huge haul. That's like
a
level. It's almost a level right there.
It should always. I strongly believe that beating the game should be 50% to 75% of your trophies. You should always have to do something afterwards. or do something strategically, you know what I'm saying, to get that last little bit of cleanup. But yeah, I think that these games only give you like 13% of the trophies for play. Like, what are you doing, man? Come on. Do better. What else you got, Jay?
Do better. I finished the 3rd chapter in Ys 8, and I'm loving that RPG. I think it's like one of my favorite of all time now. I'm absolutely loving the characters. I'm loving where the story's going, and it's just taking so many twists and turns. And I don't know how long this game is, and it's like one of those things where like I don't even want to look up how long it is because I'm enjoying it so much. And now I'm like going through the game, and I'm methodically going like through each area on the map, and I'm trying to find all the treasures and get all like the spawn points for all like the materials you can get to like craft different things. I got this fucking like aura, I don't know how to fucking pronounce it, but it's like dragon steel basically. And now I can make weapons that kill primordials, and I'm like, this is dope. Fuck shit up now. And like every time I progress in that game, it's just so rewarding because like you get your ass kicked by enemy after enemy, and then all of a sudden you get like this better weapon, or you can craft this better thing, and it makes everything like so much. It's like progression the way progression's supposed to be in a game, and not just from leveling up, and not just like over grinding. Even if you overgrind this game, you don't get certain materials to craft certain things until you get far enough in the story. So it still like halts your progress on how much damage you can do. So even if you're leveling up, you still don't ever really feel overpowered. I do feel like the only broken mechanic in the game is like if you do enough side missions and you collect enough like empty bottles, you can like you can brew enough potions to make yourself pretty unstoppable. Because like if you can just keep healing yourself, you're never gonna die. That's like any game. Like if you have unlimited life, basically, there's no one can touch you.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
But yeah, I played a lot of fun stuff this week. Zach,
good.
how about you, man?
Glad somebody did.
I haven't really played too terribly much. I've been working a lot the past 2 weeks. So, but I did touch a little bit of Vanquish. That's one of the games that I never got to play that I'm trying to go through.
It's a good one.
It's a nice little arcadey shooter with a really simple, easy to follow story. So I've been playing that. I'm currently playing 2K22 right now as we speak. I downloaded a couple of characters, just something easy to play. Let's see, what else did I play this week? Fortnite, no build. And when I have a little bit of time, because it's just quick and easy to play 30 minutes of Fortnite with a couple of buddies, I'm really enjoying no build. It is a lot of fun, and it's just nice to sit back and kind of play not a competitive battle royale with a couple of people and just be able to meme around. I am going to be starting Resident. I actually loaded it up and booted it up. I'm started Resident Evil, the first one.
Yes.
I'm gonna do the Jill storyline since you're gonna go back through.
And yep. I think the Jill storyline's the best one, honestly. I do.
So when I start, I've started the game before. I started it when I owned it. We got it for free on PlayStation Plus like a couple years ago. So when I had PlayStation, I started it on that, and I started playing through Chris's storyline. And then it was it was okay. I wasn't really super digging some of the stuff.
Yeah, he gets 2 less inventory slots, so it's a little harder to play through Chris. Now he can take more bites and more hits than Jill, but okay. But yeah, it's a great game. Great game, some would say.
Stop! Don't open that door.
But that is all I have been playing.
I hope this isn't Chris's blood.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Here, take this, since you're the master of unlocking.
So ridiculous.
Wait, don't you need it, Barry? No, I have this. So you wouldn't know nothing about that, Zach. That's that OG Resident Evil right there.
Not yet. I'm getting there. But Darrell, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, man. So the kids and I have been playing a little bit of the Resident Evil Resistance multiplayer game that came with Resident Evil 3 Remake. It's a 4v1 isometric, or is it isometric when it's like that? Asymmetric? It's asymmetric. When you have the mastermind and then you have the survivors, one bad guy kind of doing a bunch of the bad guy stuff with 4 randoms, team-based objectives, all that good stuff. It's a fun game. it's a game you really got to have a crew, though. You need 5 players, one guy being mastermind, and then 4 survivors. I've been playing that with the kids because of the way we have everything set up here. Quite enjoy it. Don't know. I don't think with the kids I'll be able to knock out all the trophies. So we're just kind of playing around a little bit here and there. If you play Dead by Daylight or Friday 13th or Predator, it's the same kind of gameplay as that, but Resident Evil. But we enjoy it. Played a little bit more Sleeping Dogs, kind of chipping away at it. Played, I'd say the majority of what I played this week will be torn between 2 games. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm about 9.5 hours in now. I think I've gained about an hour this week, hour and a half. Great game. It looks so good, dude. The game looks great. Going through some.
What's your thoughts on the combat system?
Oh, dude, I love the combat. I love it. It's simple. It's like, for the most part, everything you come in contact with is just like relax, smash square. Then you'll get like a boss or something where you actually kind of have to play through your menus and use all of your different things. So for what it requires of me, it's been perfect with me bouncing between both jobs. And I've been getting up early in the morning and playing. I'm gonna get up in the morning before church and play tomorrow. So it's good. I'm enjoying it. It's one of those things that, like, when I'm tired, this game isn't requiring. It's not The Last of Us. You know what I'm saying? It's not Resident Evil. It's not requiring a lot of my brain. It's like I can just function and even listen to a podcast if I wanted to until the next big cutscene, which there's a decent amount of. So, I haven't been listening to many podcasts during this game, but I enjoy it. It's a good, fun game. So, and then the last thing and the only game I beat this week is Layers of Fear. Bloober Team, first-person horror game, kind of a haunted house. I didn't love it. Like, I actually was a little disappointed because, Bloober Team, I really like the medium. I like what I've played of the Blair Witch. I think they're great developers. Going back and playing Layers of Fear, which is one of the games that kind of put them on the map for me on my radar, and the first Layers of Fear getting much better ratings than the second Layers of Fear. I played through it, and dude, I probably fell asleep 4 different times at night, laying in the bed playing the game. It didn't capture my attention. You're kind of going through these hallways and everything's changing and going crazy. And there's lots of good jump scares. I mean, don't get me wrong. It can be tense, but you're essentially playing through these scenarios and finding these certain little objects to put together this painting of this woman. And I don't want to spoil the game because it all revolves around this painting. But when it was all said and done, I was just like, okay, I beat it. Cool. I don't really feel anything for this game. Didn't really love it. It's got some charm. Like, it's got some jump scares, like I said. And as far as a first person horror game, there's a lot of really cool things that happen visually, but there was also sections of the game that made me nauseous to play. Like the way that the rooms would spin around and just some of the overall motion, like the last 80% of the game, or excuse me, the last 20% of the game, when I got about 80%, the game actually started running kind of bad. Had a little bit of frame rate issues, and I caught myself getting nauseous and then getting tired, which is not how you want to be when you play a game. Now, to be fair, sorry, I got a little bit of wheeze going on. To be fair, I've been playing really late at night after working both jobs. So, yeah, I can't say that I've given this game the best of my attention and the best of my energy, but it's a game that I've got downloaded in my bedroom and I've been playing through it. I got a bunch of these first-person horror games downloaded, and I just don't know. Maybe I'm not in the right mind space for these type of games. So I didn't really. So I played that Akai game last week. Really dug it. Layers of Fear this week, not so much. So that's it for me. I mean, barely any trophies all week long. I'm probably in last place on trophies, honestly. So, Zach, you got our leaderboards pulled up?
Of course I do. Why would I not have our leaderboards pulled
All
up?
right.
Don't you ever disrespect me like that again. All right, so we're going to start on the True Trophies side. This week we got Redbeard Rick in first place with 73 trophies. Coming in second place, we got the Affectatious Donk himself with 53 trophies.
That's a low week for him. That's a low week for him. He must have been sleeping this week.
Nope. Just wait. Just don't worry about it. In third place, we got Stink Palm with 20 trophies.
There we go.
In fourth place, Mr. TMNT84 himself with 14 trophies. Then tied for fifth, Hollow Madcap and Resident Darrell, each with 10 trophies.
Oof, 10 trophies, man. I've been disappointing you guys a lot lately with my trophies.
Well, you know what's great? He who shall not be named is not in the top 5 this week, so we're good.
Just when you thought you were doing bad, he did worse.
And, all right, so the I'm Styling on You leaderboards. He has been dethroned this week, ladies and gentlemen.
We knew it was going to happen.
In first place, Mr. Sony Pony to you with 12,765 achievement points.
Oh, yes.
That's where they went. The Alfred Sagel in second place with 4,445 achievement points. And let me tell you how close second and third are. In third place, 4,417. 28 achievement point difference between second and third. I'm styling on you, bro. In third place. In fourth place, we got Sadik with 4,200 achievement points. The Xbox leaderboard top 4 really brought it this week. And then in fifth place, GDI Master Ace. And this is the worst part, with 60 achievement points. That jump from fourth to fifth, from 4,000 to 60.
Okay. That's good. So glad to see some competition on the Xbox side.
Oh, shout out to Kalai. She actually made it on the leaderboard, the True Achievements leaderboard this week. She had 5 achievement points. She got 1 achievement in Spelunky 2.
Wow.
she put her mouse and keyboard down and picked up a controller.
What I love is for the resident Xbox player in the group, at least until Zach came along, she don't ever play no Xbox.
Right.
It's all like, I like Xbox better than PlayStation. Xbox better than PlayStation. I don't ever play it, but it's just better. So very interesting. All right. So we're going to end this section of the show with our backlog beatdown. It's been a while since we've kind of introed the beatdown. So, guys, basically what we're doing is we're running a year-long event. We're coming up on the halfway point. A couple more weeks, and it'll be halfway through the year. And so what we're doing is you beat games, you post screenshots in the groups, whether it be the Facebook group, the Backlog Beatdown group, or the Discord. And then, we add you to the spreadsheet. If you beat a game, you get a point. If it was a 2022 game. If it was a 2021 game or before, you get 2 points, The extra point for going for an older game. If you 100% or platinum the game, you get a 3rd point. So basically, anyone who has been participating now, like the top 15 people, have been really putting in work. Like we've kind of weeded out. There's the bottom half of the event has pretty much stayed the same for the past several weeks. That top 15, man, they're in it. I'm styling on you, bro. 79 points. So, Joker. So, what was funny was he didn't realize that there was a 1 hour minimum on the games. And so, if you had the games had to be at least an hour long, and he'd been doing a bunch of spam and a bunch of reasonably underwhelming games to do this event that him and his girlfriend have been a part of. And then he found out. Did you just fart? Oh, okay. I thought you farted by me. And then he found out that a lot of the games that he had would actually qualify. So, definitely got a huge point dump. All right. CJ is in second place with 57. Redbeard Rick coming on quick with 54. We got Diego with 51. I mean, that's a tight race right there, guys. That's any man's game. Next, we have Gareth with 35, JT with 35, myself with 33. We got Zach Ledford with 17. Joe, you were at 16. Now we got to add those other 2 points. Wait, did Apocalypse come out this year or last year?
Last year.
Okay, so tentatively 2 points. So you just passed Zach tentatively. So
he's still got way more to upload too. He still hasn't uploaded.
If he ain't uploaded, it don't count.
He's way ahead of me.
All we can go by is the sheet, and the sheet is the gospel. So, all right, we got James the Nerd with 15, Alex with 14, Tricky with 12. We got Noah the Builder with 11, Jared. We got Jarrett in at 10, but you know what? I'm pretty positive Jarrett added some points today because he said he should be somewhere in the vicinity of 15. I know. I just typed in Jarrett on I just Googled Jarrett, not paying attention to what I'm doing. So I'm going to double check his score because I think he posted something today that we need to update. Homer with 9, Yil with 9, Corey with 9, MZ with 5, John Michael with 4, T-Bird with 4, James McCall with 3, Jim with 2, Kalai with 2, Levi with 2, Spider Pax with 2, and wow, it's Brandy with 2. So how you guys feeling about the backlog beatdown so far?
I am feeling like I haven't made as much of a dent as I should.
Same.
That's all good, man. There's still time. That is the beauty of it. There is still time. So yes, Jared added last night, as a matter of fact, the Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes. So I got to add him 2 more points. So yeah, man, it's coming along. So you guys are doing a great job, man. We definitely appreciate you participating in this event. And I don't know about you guys, but I've enjoyed it. And it definitely, for me, right now, knowing that I can't play spam games, it's like, well, I can not. Dude, I would be good with as busy as I've been this year if I could play spam, because then I would at least be getting trophies. I wouldn't be beating anything of any quality, but the little bit of time that I'm putting in here, an hour there, hour here, hour there, I would be able to get some points. But here we are. So at least looking forward to not getting a point for the backlog beatdown here and there. It's been something. So. But yeah. All right, guys.
I got one thing to plug before we leave.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not a part of our Facebook group or you are not a part of our Discord, please go ahead and join those. I have started a new discussion segment every Tuesday called Tuesday Talk. I'm going to pose a question. That way we can just get the community talking a little bit. You can maybe share your opinion on some things, have your input, and if that's something that does pick up traction, that would be a little segment that I'd like to bring up on the show at some point in the future. So like I said, if you guys aren't in the Facebook group, just request to come in, ask real nicely, and one of us will maybe accept you if you're being a good kid. And then the Discord invite link is always in the description of the show. So if you're not a part of the Discord, please join our Discord.
Absolutely. Definitely get in that Discord, man. There's a lot of good conversation going on there.
And poop socks.
All of the poop socks, that is for sure. Speaking of poop socks, merch is still happening. So don't give up on me. So, all right, guys.
That one of the initial shirts was not a poop sock shirt really makes me angry.
So I just, you know what we got to do? We got to take what we can get. I mean, we needed a new logo. It's been a while since we had a logo. So I figured we could poop sock being the main logo. I didn't know if that was.
You thought about it.
Yeah. So I did find an error on the sheet. We had Jared that was not getting credit for his Persona Royale, and it is only fair that he gets his points for Persona 5 Royale. So that puts him at 14 points. So coming for that booty. All right. I was wondering because that did not seem correct. So boom, there we go. Basically first place. You guys got anything else you want to add?
Nope. Thank you again to Patrick Hickey Jr. for our interview, which will be coming right after this segment.
Cool.
Dude, go check out Legacy Comix, man. Seriously.
Definitely.
Amazing things going on over there.
I've been trying my hardest to convert this entire podcast group, network, everything into just basically comic books. And so, yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Go check out comic book stuff.
Yeah, let's not talk about the first 30 minutes that we spent together tonight where all Darrell was doing was cataloging comic books.
I'm such a nerd. I love it. All right, guys, now we're going to head over to our interview with voice actor extraordinaire Patrick Hickey Jr.
It's the Loot Bros podcast. We're going to talk about video games and mow your grass. Loot Bros podcast. We're going to talk about butts and slurp and penises. So stay tuned.
Hello, I'm here with Darrell and Mr. TMT and Zach Ledburn. Oh, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros podcast. I'm your host, Resident Darrell, and tonight I have the bearded nerd. What's up, Zach?
Heyo, what's going on, everybody?
All right, you are recording remotely from what state are you in right now?
I'm still in Missouri. I'm just in St. Louis. I'm like 4 hours away. I'm 4 hours away from home this week.
Gotcha. All right, and then we got Mr. TMNT84. What's up, Joe?
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
Man, we're hanging out, So just log in the comics, dude. It's Free Comic Book Day. It's probably the best day in May. I can't think of a better day. I can't think of a day that can compete with it. I got a big old, there you go. I got a big old fat stack of books. And you actually sat here for about 30 minutes listening to me beef them in and log them in. So it's a good thing we got going on. And it also is fitting that we have on Free Comic Book Day, we have the owner, founder, CEO of Legacy Comix in the house. We got Patrick Hickey Jr. with us. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Happy to be here as always. Second time, hopefully a lot more times after this.
Absolutely. Oh, man, when you keep doing stuff, there'll be reason for you to keep coming back on. So
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
So, well, you've definitely been busy, and that's what we got here tonight. So we're going to jump right into it. Not only, so last time you were on the Loot Bros podcast, you were kind of like flexing your, I'm a voice actor. I've been in a couple games, Padre, stuff like that. But you're like, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about comic books. It's like, here I am. I'm this like world-renowned journalist. I'm over here running a friggin' university all by myself. And it's like in my spare time, I'm going to start a comic book company. No big deal. And here's my list of books. And then so now you've done all that. You're like, oh, by the way, I'm not only a voice actor, I am the voice actor for the upcoming Wrestlequest RPG wrestling game. Absolutely. And you're not doing 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. You're doing 30 voices?
More like 90, but who's counting at this point? I mean, it's just... there's once the game comes out, we'll probably be able to have a conversation about a lot of other things that could have happened, should have happened, maybe did happen. But like they've given me over at MegaCat so much responsibility and trust. This has been one of the most rewarding experiences I've had as a voice actor. I've starred in games before. I've done narration for Kickstarters and for YouTube trailers and things like that. But this is by far like one of the coolest projects I've ever been a part of.
Well, dude, it's like the biggest game of the summer, man. Like this is like one of the. I cannot wait to play this game.
Oh, absolutely. Same here. So,
I mean, PAX East was insane. So it's just like the amount of attention that we got, like before the panel that we did, was wild, and then like after the panel was over, we literally had a trail of people walking with us back to the booth to play the game. It was so crazy. That's
awesome. Well, we were watching from the sidelines. We were following through social media, and then one of our co-hosts, Kalai, she was actually there on the floor, and that was cool. She got to take a picture with you and introduce herself and all that stuff. So, of course, you've already associated with Kalai before, but
sure,
totally cool to see all that stuff happen, and you got to hang out with freaking Jeff Jarrett. I mean, like I told you in Messenger, I was jealous because he's awesome.
Yeah, we had dinner 2 nights. We hung out for like 4 days basically. He shouted me out on his podcast like 2 days later,
awesome.
and like I was walking to work at like 4:45 in the morning, and like marked out in pitch black darker looking. I probably scared the crap out of like everyone that was outside, but it was great. It was great.
He's like, "Hey, slap nuts! You did a good job on the voice acting in the game."
It was Darrell. I'm telling you. So it's just like, to be in his presence is one thing, because it's like former WCW champion, former NWO champion, NWA champion, Intercontinental champion.
That's right.
But he was putting me over at PAX. So like people were coming over and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Jeff Jarrett," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Jeff Jarrett, but this is the guy that does all the voices in the game."
Yes.
And so it was nuts. Super kind, super candid. We ended up having like the first night we all had dinner together, and they were kind of like, the developers were asking him wrestling questions and stuff, but then I was just like asking him about cinematography and wrestling, and he was just like, "Wait, what?" Because it's like, I mean, I've interviewed over 100 professional wrestlers over the course of my career and stuff, and Keith Mitchell, the former lead producer of AEW, just retired, and he was also one of the producers for Nitro and for World Class Championship Wrestling and Impact. So just like Jeff obviously knew him, and I love that style of shooting. So after the first night, Jeff was like, "Yeah, Pat's cool," and I was like, "Jeff's cool." So we had a really good time. Great guy. I can't thank Mega Cat and Skybound enough for just the people that were at PAX were so awesome to hang out with. So
that's dope, man. Yeah, he was walking around saying, "Yeah, he's one of the boys." So
yeah, it was insane. It was
awesome.
insane.
So I guess let's start from the beginning. How did you get hooked up with Mega Cat Studios?
So this is the thing. It's so funny because it's just like when we were talking, I've been working on WrestleQuest for, I would say, about 16 months.
Okay.
Just couldn't say anything. It was like I was in the NWO. Like I couldn't say anything. And I didn't. But so I was originally introduced to Mega Cat through being a journalist. I would get press releases from them. As you guys know, they produce and create versions of Genesis and Nintendo games via cart. They make new games for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo and stuff. And I just thought, this is so cool. I'm a games historian. I need to know why these guys do this. So I met James Deegan. He's the CEO, the owner of Mega Cat, and we would just exchange emails and BS back and forth. And then this is like maybe 8 years ago. And we would exchange phone calls then from time to time. We would talk about ways to cross pollinate, our, influence and stuff like that. And then started working for Old School Gamer magazine, introduced him to those people, introduced him to some podcasts. Podcasters, got him on some shows. He introduced me to some people, and we just kept the chain of communications going. Then I started doing work on the Padre, and he's like, "Oh, you voice act?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that was like kind of that. And then it's funny because one of the comics that we do for Legacy, The Job, actually started off as a play. I wrote it as a play, and then COVID happened and wasn't going to happen. So I spent like a week turning it into a video game. I wrote out the entire design document, and it was basically like Hotline Miami meets like pro wrestling on the NES. And I pitched it to James, and James was like, before we do something like this together, I know you work hard, I know you're a smart cookie, but let's see how we work together. So we started working on something else that I can't talk about yet. And then I started doing some trailers for them, like Roniu's Tale and a couple of other games, some YouTube trailers. Then they wanted me to do a This Week in Gaming History YouTube series, which I did for them for a little while. And then they brought up WrestleQuest to me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm in. So at first it was just kind of like, oh, well, you're going to be doing all of the unlicensed characters, and that's like 60 characters, and it's a lot of fun, just making up voices for characters. They give me so much creative freedom. And then they started filling me in on the backstory, and it's like the main character's name is Randy Muchacho Man Santos, and he's like a young protege of the Macho Man Randy Savage. James knew that I did a good Macho Man, So he was like, yeah, you can do that. And then that morphed in over the past like couple of months into like, yeah, you're gonna do the licensed characters too. And I'm just like,
no pressure.
Listen, yeah, no pressure. And it's just like, Joe knows there's certain guys that it's just like when somebody says to do Andre the Giant's voice, you're like, wait, what? Like in the game? It's like, or like Jake the Snake Roberts, and like it's so funny because it's like I look at this lineup of characters and I just have like this connection to all of them. So like Diamond Dallas Page was the first ever professional wrestler that I ever interviewed, and he's in this game. The job that I have now, I shouldn't even be saying this on a podcast. The job that I have now as an educator, in the interview for my job, I got asked a question and I answered with a modified quote from Jake the Snake Roberts. And the person that I was answering the question for was extremely impressed, and that definitely played a role in me getting the job. So it's just like all of these performers have just tied in beautifully into my life because, I mean, I'm a 80s and 90s kid. I love professional wrestling. So you tie in the journalism background that I have in journalism, the journalism background I have in journalism, the journalism background I have in professional wrestling, the video game historian, the voice acting, tie that all in together. This was like a perfect job for me. Yeah, so that's kind of how it started. It started out because I was a journalist, and then it just grew into something. It's just a lesson in keep relationships, don't burn bridges. I mean, there were times when I didn't speak to James for like 4 or 5 months, and then we would connect over something, and we would just keep the positive vibes going, And I love that company. I mean, I work with a ton of indies, but like MegaCat, ton of respect for what they do.
I think one of the coolest things that I've ever experienced, like being like one of your friends, is like when I actually messaged you about the game when I first heard about it, and you were like, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Because you couldn't say anything. But I remember one time when you did tell me, you're like, Joe, just wait till you see what I'm working on. But you couldn't tell me what it was. And you're like, it's going to blow your mind, dude.
I take that stuff so seriously. So it's just like, I'll tell you guys a funny story. I was talking to somebody maybe like 5 months ago, and they were telling me about a game that they were doing voiceover on. And they had signed a non-disclosure agreement. And they weren't supposed to be talking to me about it. And they did not know that I was a writer on said project. And I was just like, and they were just like, yeah, I do voiceover on this game and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know about it. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. And it's like, I take that stuff so seriously. So it's like, Joe, we've talked online for years, and I don't remember how it came up, but like you might have brought it up to me like, oh, this game looks really cool. And I was just like, yeah. And then we had a conversation when I was allowed to announce that I was a part of the game. I was telling people, yeah, I'm doing voiceover on the game, but there's still like, like just the fact that I'm doing this podcast. I had a conversation with MegaCat that can I go on podcast? Because it's like, I never want to violate the relationship that I have with MegaCat, because those guys have placed so much trust in me, to be like the principal voice actor on this game. And I can't like played the game a ton during PAX, and I've watched so much video of it, and it's just like so weird, like not just to hear your voice in a game, but to hear like your voice talking to another voice that happens to be your voice at the same time. Like it's one of the wackiest things that you could ever experience as a voice actor.
That's wild. That's what. Now we have
legally insane.
Yeah, we have someone here on the panel that's an aspiring voice actor. So Zach, man, definitely this is who you need to be bending the ear on, man, because I know that you want to get in the game as well. So
yeah, it's been something that I followed for a while. I mainly follow like the American voice actors for anime shows and stuff like that. Eric Vale and a lot of those guys, and I've done a little bit of practice. I've done a little bit of perusing on Casting Call Club. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that as well. Just to kind of start building like a repertoire.
Absolutely.
Nothing's really stuck, but
is that the one where you swipe left or swipe right?
I always swipe right on you, Darrell.
That was awesome.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to swipe left on Joe tonight, though.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know what that means. I'm assuming left is bad, right is right, right is good.
Yeah, right means yes, left means no.
Okay, good. All right, as long as I'm on the right side of the everything, then we're good. So
Joe's face is like, "Why do you hate me?"
Okay, that's why I took a shower too before the show. You know,
so
it doesn't look like it.
I was going to do the podcast naked, so I mean,
hey, from the waist down, we're all naked. All right, so
nice.
So Pat, again, congratulations! Awesome that you're being able to do this.
Thank you very much.
It's from the sidelines, man. It looked like you guys at PAX were having such a blast, dude. And I can only imagine the amount of times you were put on the spot to do voices. So I'm assuming it was a ton, right?
So, James is one of the few people. James Deegan, the CEO of MegaCat, is probably one of the few people that I've ever worked with or for that when they walk into a room, I stop what I'm doing. I put my phone away and I listen. He's super, super intelligent, super perceptive. And he was basically like, oh, if you want to hang out at the booth, like, I'm like, nah, man, put me to work. Like, what do you need me to do? And he's just like, whenever you see one of the producers or one of the programmers playing the game with somebody, he's like, screw with them. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, just go into full Macho Man, like behind them and like have fun. And he goes, if you want to do interviews like with people and like, Stephen Fontana from Dual Screens, we did like dueling Macho Man back and forth for the interview. That was pretty funny. But he was just like, just have fun with it, and it's funny because the booth was for World Championship Boxing Manager 2 as well. And I'm doing the voices of like 35 characters in that game too. So it was just awesome. Like I was. Yeah, so it's like I was going from one side of the booth being like, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the guts and the glory? To, something, let me tell you something, like back and forth like the entire day. So it was just like 8 hours of that. And then, I mean, after we did the booth the whole day, we would go out to eat and we would talk shop. And then we would go back to the hotel and the guys would work on the build and we would work on like, the panel that we were doing and stuff like that. So it was just like, for 4 days there was no stopping. It was insane. And it was just like when I came home, I told my wife, I'm like, I don't want to do the Macho Man voice for like 4 or 5 days. Like I'm done with it, So oh my god, it was just so funny too, because like during PAX so many people were like trying to throw their Macho Man into the hat, and it's just like there's several different versions of it, there's you can do the really husky, angry one, the screaming one. You could do the methodical one. It's just like I could do all of them. So it's just like some people would be like just coming in, can you dig it? Like screaming like in your face, and it's just like no. There's like you got to be able to talk like him. You got to be able to like breathe like him. So it's just like it was so much. The booth was insane, and then probably Darrell, you'll get a kick out of the story. It's probably the best thing that happened at PAX. So like Jeff Jarrett could sell a lady in a white dress a ketchup popsicle. He could lie straight to your face and you'll believe it. He doesn't. He's super honest, forthcoming, candid. But there was one time, a bunch of people were talking to him and he's just like, listen, he's like, I can't take all the credit for this game. He goes, I'm an executive producer on the game. He goes, but the voice actor, he does the voices of 90 to 95 voices in the game. But he's also Randy Savage's son. And he said it. Like, to the point where I'm like, I want to get a DNA test. So I just go along with it, And the guy doesn't know what to say. So we end up taking a picture. We end up taking a picture with the guy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
And he walks away. But wait, it gets better. The next day, like 3 people come to the booth and like people wanted to take a couple of people wanted to take pictures with me because of the minds behind the games books and stuff like that, because we did the panel the day before.
I watched that.
Thank you. I think we did a good job.
You did an amazing job.
Thank you. But it's like I am, I do have books in Harvard, Yale, Stanford. Like I'm a real deal journalist and real deal video game historian. So little cheap plug there, little Mick Foley plug. But this guy comes over to me. It's so weird because the people that want to take pictures because of the book stuff, they usually come off in a certain way, you know. And this guy was like, bro. I'm like, yeah. Can I take a picture with you? And I was just like, yeah, sure. We take the picture, and then it didn't feel right. Then I'm like, why do you want to take a picture with me? And he's like, because you're Randy Savage's son. And it happened like 3 times, but that one guy was the most like. So then, like Jeff left earlier in that day, like on Saturday. So then I texted him, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did you do? People think that I'm like Randy Savage's son," and he's like, "Oh," then he's like, "I'm gonna call Lanny, and I'm gonna tell Lanny that he has, you know." I'm like, "Oh my God!" So but this guy must have went home and showed somebody a picture of me and said, that's Randy Savage's son. And I was just like, oh my God.
Dude, that's so funny. Oh man, he went back and met up with his friend group. He's like, dude, Randy's son's over there. I didn't even know he had a son.
I didn't know he was a voice actor too. You know?
Such a coincidence, man.
That's really awesome that you told that story, because that's where I wanted to go with things. Because like, I mean, you know, a lot of times when guys do the panels, you know, they'll kind of hit their spot, they'll go. It seemed like you were there at the booth entertaining people, like you were the star of the show. Now, not to take away anything from Megacat, but it very much came off that way, and from lots of the stuff on social media. So it seemed like you were having a blast, man.
So it's so funny because it's like I told you guys joking around that Jeff Jarrett kept putting me over. And then it's so funny because whenever I would do an interview, I would put over Zach Manco. He's the writer of WrestleQuest. And this is the thing. For this game to work, it's a Japanese RPG with like wrestling mechanics. It's Earthbound, Dragon Quest, Pokemon, Super Mario RPG mixed with professional wrestling. Wrestling fans are smart.
Take a cold shower.
Yes, seriously. For this game to work, the writing has to be good. It has to be. You're not just going to play this because it's got this like Super Mario RPG meets professional wrestling battle system that like you actually have to pin the guy in a turn-based RPG. Like it's so much fun. But like the story is so well written. And this is coming again from a guy that's written 7 books on games. So it's just like they would talk to Jeff and Jeff would put me over. And then they would talk to me and then I would put Zach over. And then somebody would talk to Zach, and Zach would put me over, or Andy, the animator and lighting guy, or James or whatever. And it was just like the team over there is just insane. So like Andy, one of the engineers and stuff, one of the developers, he was wearing boxing shorts and like put eye makeup on to look like he had a black eye the entire time because he was promoting World Championship Boxing Manager the entire time. Like again, the week that I spent with these guys in the booth and stuff. Super hardworking team. Like this is going to be a game that's going to totally put them on the map, you know. Absolutely. And they've done a lot of stuff before. Like I'm a fan of their other stuff, like Log Jammers and Creepy Brawlers and Coffee Crisis. But this takes it to a whole nother stratosphere. I mean, you're talking about an RPG with over 50 hours of gameplay, you know, with a license of over 30 professional wrestlers. And
God, I'm so ready for this game.
I'm telling you. And the thing is, though, too, it's just like I've seen so much of it, like in dev, but to actually sit down and really like sink my teeth into it over PAX. I mean, there were times like I was going to the booth at the same time as everybody else. I mean, I get up super early in the morning, so I get up at like 4:30 every morning. So even when we were at PAX, it wasn't even a vacation. I would get up at 4:30. I would go for my walk, get my 10,000 steps in, get my Dunkin' Donuts, meet up with the guys. We would go to the booth by like 8 o'clock. People didn't come into PAX until like 9. So for that hour, I was just like playing the game, and it won those awards for a reason. Like it won 3 awards during PAX. Like, and I'm not saying it because I'm on the team either. It's just like because I don't have anything to do with the actual like under the hood development of the game. I'm just a voice actor, you know. So it's just like, but I've played it enough to just say like, if you're looking for like an old school 90s RPG, you're good. If you're looking for something that like really captures the essence of your childhood, meaning like 80s, 90s pop culture, and of course professional wrestling, it's there too. So it's just like Darrell long-winded answer. I'm sorry, but I don't think there really was like one star for the team for PAX. But like that's the thing. We all fit into our spots perfectly. You know, like if you watch the G4 interview, because like that was the thing too. Like G4 came,
dude. You got interviewed by Gerard.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Creed came to play it, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, Creed came to play it, and yeah, I introduced myself as a voice actor, and I wanted to do Dueling Macho Man with him, and he was just like, "Nah, man, it hurts my throat too much." And I'm saying to myself, I've been doing it for 8 hours a day for the past 3 days. You know,
aren't you supposed to be tough? Don't you take body slams for a living? Come on.
Yeah, but like, oh man, the G4 interview's only like 8 minutes, so like, but Gerard was there for like an hour, and like, oh man, when he first started to talk, I just kept cutting him off as like the Macho Man. Like, oh my god, it was so funny. But he was getting like a super kick out of it. Like he was having a lot of fun with us, and awesome. He really dug the game. And like, listen, a lot of people talk online, especially about G4, their rise and fall and rise again and stuff like that.
He's
like,
amazing.
Gerard is amazing. Gerard
I met him twice.
Cool. Yeah. So it's just like when he walks away from your booth and he's like kind of hyped, you're like, you know, so that's kind of like how we felt.
That dude plays video games for a living.
Yeah.
What he's done in 10 years is just, it's astounding.
Absolutely. Mega cool guy.
So, listeners of the podcast, I know we have a lot of other podcasters that listen to the show. Let me tell you, you got a good guest when they answer all of your questions without you even having to ask them. So,
I'm sorry.
No, dude. I'm telling you, you make it so easy.
Because I'm a journalist.
You make it so easy.
And I don't want to waste anyone's time. I know you guys are looking for good sound bites. I'm trying not to beat around the bush.
No, you're killing it.
So it's just like, yeah.
No, I'm not even trying to put you over either. That's totally great. Okay, now I do want to pivot this because you've like Wrestlequest. We're sold. These guys right here, we're down for life. Like we are ready to go. Now the boxing manager. That one was that one I didn't know you were doing. I didn't see any official announcement or anything until you were actually at PAX playing it, and you had said, I don't remember if it was on a video, if you said it in a message or something. It was like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I'm also doing these voices. So why don't you tell us about that game?
Yeah, so World Championship Boxing Manager 2 is it's the sequel to a 30-year-old boxing game. So this is the thing. 30 years ago, this was a boxing managerial sim that was basically like all text. But it was beloved and it was super deep for its time. And Ziggurat Interactive is this really nifty, cool game publisher where they're getting the rights to a lot of these forgotten IPs and they're bringing them back. So Ziggurat is publishing it, but Megacat is developing it. But also like Ziggurat has the rights to Blood Rain, to Enclave, to a whole bunch of like really cool games from the past.
Did they do those new Blood Rain games that just came out? They're remakes?
Yes.
Those are actually really good.
They added the cheat codes back into it too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So so what happened was in the middle of the development process for Wrestlequest, the team at Megacat goes, "You want to do voices on a boxing game?" And I'm just like, "Sure." I'm like, "What game?" Because I am selective. Like, I don't want to work on a crappy game, And they're like, World Championship Boxing Manager 2, and I went, "What? Like the sequel to like the Amiga game?" And they're like, "Oh, you know about the first game?" And I'm like, you're talking to, right? And I was like, dude, I would be totally honored. So at first they were like, okay, we want you to be the color commentator on the game, like the ring announcer, the color commentator and stuff like that. So I made a huge mistake, but it turned into like a wonderful blessing. So it's like, I didn't know really what they wanted in terms of the voice. So I gave them 3. I gave them like a British announcer. I gave them like an old school, like crusty Boston announcer, and then I gave them more like a Michael Buffer kind of thing. And they were like, "Can you do all of the lines in all 3 voices?" And I was like, "Sure." So I did that, and then I thought I was done. And then right before PAX, like literally right before PAX, they're like, "You want to do all of the VO for the entire story mode?" Meaning like, there's 6 branching modes in the story mode, like 6 different paths you can take, 6 different stories in the story mode, and each contains like anywhere from like 5 to 7 characters, and I mean, 3 of those characters are Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, and Rocky Marciano. So it was just like getting to be able to play those guys. Oh my god!
Ooh, I'm so pretty.
Yeah. And every story mode was like 12 pages of dialogue. So this is like the day before PAX. They're like, oh, can you do this? And then can you have it back to us by like the 28th, which is like 2 days after PAX. So I'm just like, yeah. And then I was gonna bring my mic with me to PAX. Thank God that I didn't, because I wouldn't have had any time to do any type of recording. But I basically did like a week's worth of work in like 2 days. I like killed myself finishing that story mode on time, but it came out really good. So it's kind of like World Championship Boxing Manager is kind of like a Japanese like visual novel meets like a managerial sports sim meets like The Sims, all mixed up into one. It's the type of game that you can totally like leave on your lap on your Switch, watch a TV show, and then like, so this is the thing, you don't actually control the boxing. So what you do is like, you can assign a trainer for the boxer, you can assign a physical therapist to the boxer, you can assign an emotional therapist to the boxer, and that controls all of their attributes. So then like in between matches, then you assume the role of like the cut man, and you can choose to give them more water, or give them this, give them that, to cheat, to do all these other things, and that plays an influence. So you have to actually watch the matches, which is a lot of fun. But like a lot of the core gameplay happens away from the fight. So you start off basically in like a crusty gym with nothing in there, and then you have to pay for the ring, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to bring in your stable of boxers. So it's a really fun take on the managerial sim. And then the story mode, again, I said his name before for WrestleQuest, but Zach Manco wrote all of the story for the story mode in World Championship Boxing Manager 2, and oh my god. Like, some of it is, this game, when it originally came out in 1990, was known for its sense of humor. There's one story in particular where I called him, well, not called him, I messaged him on Slack after, and I was just like, I hate you. And he's like, why? I was like, I couldn't say half of these lines with a straight face. And the thing is, it's like, you're supposed to say these things like tongue in cheek, you know, and it's just like a couple of times I'm just like, how am I supposed to say this with a straight face? Like, it was written so well and so like tongue in cheek. But then there's a couple of other stories that are very like in that Rocky kind of raging bull motif. So it's just like, if you love boxing, you will absolutely adore this game.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I grew up a boxing fan, and those Sega Genesis boxing games up into the Fight Night games, dude, that's actually a huge gap in gaming right now. We don't have good boxing games anymore. Like, that used to be that Sega Genesis boxing game. I forget the name of it, but it had oh my god, the voice acting or the dialogue lines in there were hilarious. My brother and I would sit there like, pansy, mama's boy, sissy, and just sitting there all back and forth to this day. I mean, it's like 30 years later, we'll see each other like, so sissy. And
oh my god,
dude,
I think
we
that's
love
Tough Fan Contest on the Genesis.
I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember the name of it. It's the blue and red cover, the blue and red label. I remember we used to rent it from this video store when we were kids, and God, we played the fool out of it. But that's really cool. Totally awesome. Now, here's the question I have for you, because you're throwing out all these huge numbers. Okay, 90, 95 on this game, 30, 35 on this game. Like, how do you keep up with that? Like, if someone says, hey, Mr. Hickey, I need you to do boxing manager, voice number 17, that would be Sugar Ray Leonard.
So the way I would start is I would probably watch as many interviews with Sugar Ray Robinson as possible. Like, and literally just like close my eyes and not even look at his face. Just listen to his voice over and over and over and over again. It's just like, this happened during PAX where Jeff Jarrett kept putting me on the spot and was like, you're doing my voice by the time I leave here. And I'm just like, I haven't done your voice in the game yet, Jeff. I'm like, and that's the thing I try and tell people. It's just like, if you go to John DiMaggio, oh, do Bender. He could do Bender like on the spot. But if you're like, oh, do, I don't know, do, Barack Obama John DiMaggio would be like, "What am I, like a clown? What am I here to amuse you? Do I make you laugh?" You know, and it would take him a couple of hours. He would listen. So that's my process. Like I would just listen to as many different interviews throughout time. So like I would listen to like young Sugar Ray, middle-aged Sugar Ray, older Sugar Ray, and then try and find whichever one I could do the best, and then try and model after that. Inflection is super hard, but that's the most important thing. If you can say it the way that they said it, like the way they felt it, then you can eventually like win people over. So it's just like perfect example. Like when I was doing Jeff Jarrett for the game, the first thing I mastered was his laughs, you know, and I just sent those to the team, and they were like, "We're gonna use the laughs like every time like we can because they're like perfect," you know. Certain characters will come to you a lot easier. So like Macho Man comes to me a lot easier. Hawk from Legion of Doom came to me very easily. Coco Beware came to me very easily, you know. But then other characters you really just have to try, you know. You just have to try over and over and over and over and over again. It's just like there's no easy way to do it. You just have to continue to practice and stuff. It's just like, I remember when I was a little kid, when I taught myself, well, not a little kid, I was like 14, 15, I taught myself how to do Jigglypuff. It's just like, I used to just scare the crap out of people because they're like, what the hell is he doing? And then I'm
It's awesome.
You know, and you
That
just
is so
practice over
good.
and over again. But it's like, I've done that voice so many times that I can do it and not open up my mouth, and it like scares the crap out of my daughter, you know? Like I'm just like, you know, and she'd be like, "Dad, how is sound coming out of your mouth and you're not," you know? And it's just practice. It's just like if you talk to like Jeff Dunham, and that's the thing too, man. Like my journalism career has just taken me to so many weird places. Like I've interviewed like probably like 30 voice actors, probably like 20 ventriloquists. I have this film director that I met in my travels. He ended up doing this documentary on ventriloquism, and he gave me this book that was like 800 pages, and I read the whole thing, and it was just like I was just so mystified by ventriloquism and how they're able to, you know, copy people's voices and stuff. And if you just take care of your voice, breathe when you speak. A lot of people don't do that, you know, and just again make mistake after mistake after mistake. And the thing is too, when you're voice acting for a game, a lot of the time you're doing it as like an independent contractor, and you're doing it like hourly. You don't get paid for your research. You know, if you go to them, well, it's going to take me like 6 hours to learn how to do so and so's voice. They're like, well, we're only paying you for when you hit that record button, you know? And could you blame them? You know, like that's the way it's supposed to be. So it's just like a lot of people that want to get into voice acting, if they don't get the voice like right away, they're just like, yeah, I can't do it. And for me, it's just like, gonna have to practice. You know, it's like with the Padre, I mean, for me to be able to get that deep baritone, I mean, I shredded the shit out of my throat the first time I did it, and now I can do it like, you know,
hello, my name is Darrell. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Alexander, and I'm the Padre, you know.
But when I first started doing it, like, it burned my throat, and now I can do it like on call. So it's just like, voice acting is no different than like going to the gym. It's no different than singing. It's no different than like, it's a skill that you acquire through tons and tons of practice, you know. I prefer to read lines, but at the same time too, like certain games, like I do like some micro voice acting, you know, like where I'm doing like sound effects of people getting hit, you know. So obviously with WrestleQuest, I'm reading lines and I'm doing like, so not only am I doing like, you know, Jeff Jarrett in the game, but like I'm doing Jeff Jarrett getting hit, you know. So for like 90 characters, I'm like, you know, and it's just like you have to find ways of like differentiating that for every character. And to go back to answer your question, it's just like it's a ton of research. So it's just like if I have to do grunts for Jeff Jarrett, I'm gonna watch a match where I know that he got his ass kicked, and I'm gonna try and listen for those sounds. It's a ton of of preparation, and a lot of people think it's just the voice, but it's not, and I'm just lucky that I'm a historian, that I love that stuff.
There you go.
So it all comes into play.
That's awesome. All right, so I want to turn it over to the guys and let them ask any questions that they have. I mean, you've just been a dream. Before we pivot off the games and get into some of the comic book stuff, because I want to give you a chance to, give us an update, talk about things that I really care about. I mean, well, it's you guys, but Zach, did you want to start off? And did you have anything in particular you wanted to hit up our guest with?
Yeah, it's more like a fun question, I guess. What was your favorite voice that you did in WrestleQuest?
Oh, it's absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but at the same time too, though, I don't even know if I should say this or not.
Are you allowed to tell us about characters in the game?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you about some of the voices that I've done and stuff like that. They've been announced and stuff like that. But I'll tell you half of what I can say, pretty much.
Okay.
So there's one character in the game that I do the voice of that I technically wasn't supposed to do the voice for because it's female. But I love this character so much. She is like a complete ass kicker. And I was like, guys, you gotta let me do the voice of her. And they were like, go ahead. And I did it, and they were like, yo, Pat. And so I'm super happy. Like whenever I'm gonna hear her voice in the game, I'm gonna go, that's range, that's versatility.
Nailed it. There you go.
The Coco Beware stuff was a lot of fun. I love his promos, and the thing is too, like in the Mid-South, Coco Beware was an ass kicker. His Brainbuster was called the Ghostbuster, and he was awesome. And when he went to the WWE, they gave him Frankie, of course, and and he was great, but he was different. He was a different character. So to be able to do some Coco that has some of that Mid-South tenacity, but still maintain some of the, the 80s colorfulness. So that was the thing too. Just because I'm doing somebody's voice, I'm like, again, watching all of their promo from their entire career and trying to encapsulate as much of the total package in there. So somebody like Coco was so much fun to do. I love Hawk from Legion of Doom. That was a ton of fun. I love the Junkyard Dog. The Junkyard Dog should have been like WWE champion at some point. Like he was like the number 2 babyface in WWE for probably like a period of like 2 years. But you know how the wrestling industry was for a really long time.
Hogan.
Yeah. Or Flair, or and it took Ron Simmons. Like Ron Simmons ended up breaking that that trend. But like, man, Junkyard Dog was just so over, and like to be able to do his voice in the game was a huge thrill for me. But like at the same time too, there's going to be times when you guys are going to encounter NPCs in WrestleQuest, and you're going to laugh your ass off because you're going to be yeah, it's going to be like,
I'm going to be texting. I'm going to message you all the time, like all the time. But yeah. This is absolutely. I cannot wait. Now, I'm going to guess here because they're wrestling. They know wrestling over there enough. Is this dropping SummerSlam weekend? Is that what we're doing here? Is it the same week as SummerSlam? Is that kind of what they're aiming towards? The end of summer?
So from what I've been told, it's the end of summer. So
I'm assuming around then, probably.
We'll see. Yeah, that's above my pay grade. But yeah, that's what we were told during PAX. That would be like end of summer. So
I cannot wait to play this. From the moment I saw it on that, what was it? Was it Nintendo Direct or PlayStation, or was it Xbox Showcase?
It was the Xbox Showcase.
I was just like, oh my god, this game. I was like, I hope this thing is not Xbox exclusive, because I would literally buy an Xbox to play this game.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, so, I would.
Too, like I said before, it's like, it's not, when you see the retro graphics, the toy box like graphics and stuff, a lot of people are thinking it's like a retro game and stuff. It's a 50-hour RPG. Like it's heavy, it's deep, it hits hard. It hits different.
There you
go. Yeah.
I'm kind of waiting to see what they're gonna do. You probably know, but can't tell us what they're gonna do as far as physical release goes for this game, because I'm like itching at the bit of whether I want to do physical or digital
Just do
for
both.
this.
Just do both. You're gonna want
no comment on that.
You're gonna want both. You're gonna want to go digital so you have it immediately.
Oh yeah, I'm going.
You're gonna
yeah,
want to get whatever best case scenario physical edition there is.
I gotta play the midnight, so
that's right.
So no comment on that from my point of for me, but I will say that like one of my biggest goals as a voice actor. So I've been in like, I think I've done trailers for like 10 games, and I've done voice acting in like 6, and they're all digital games so far, which is still cool. I'll go over to my friend's house and they'll be like, "Oh, Pat here, look," and they'll pull up Padre or something like that, or they'll pull up Caillou Offensive on Steam, and I'm like, yeah, that's cute, that's a lot of fun, but I want to go into GameStop really bad
and pick up your game.
I want to fuck with people. I want to just walk over and be like, "Should I buy this? Is this any good?" You know, and then just start doing voices and stuff like that. So maybe I mean, I hope that this is the game.
Well,
I can't see it not being. Honestly, this
I can't say anything. So
I would imagine,
Joe, all of your questions he can't tell you the answer to because you've already done all the other research.
Yeah, I would imagine that at worst case scenario, you get like a limited run release for this one. This game's got so much hype behind it, and PAX, not just following like Pat about PAX, but following PAX in general. People were like popping for this game, so it's definitely
we had a line the entire time that I was there. It was insane.
That's good. All right. So I hate to do it because we gotta be respectful of your time. All right. But I did want to pivot over and talk a little bit about the comic stuff. Okay.
Sure.
Last time you were on, you announced Legacy, you said Kickstarters and everything were getting ready to happen, getting ready to go live. Since then, you've launched Legacy full blown. You've already released your first wave of books. I have purchased a lot of your books. I have read
Thank you so
a lot of your books. I haven't read every one of them. I think I bought The Night Owl is the only one I haven't touched yet. I think that's the only one I haven't touched yet. Oh, and then Renfield, the vampire one. Those are only two I haven't touched yet. Everything else I'm up to date on. As a comic fan and as a fan of yours, excellent work. Very, very cool. I think it's very good. The Job, I got to be honest, I bought it, I bought it on Kindle. I've been sitting in my office reading the books. I've been reading a ton, and I was like, man, you got me just enough in that issue 0. Like, I was like, when it ended, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? It felt like it was just getting ready to jump in. And you had already given me the pitch for the book, so I was ready to see where it goes. So how's the reception been with all the Legacy stuff so far?
The reception has been great so far. We ended up, I'm pretty sure we did the interview before the Kickstarter went live.
It was in December,
Yeah. So the Kickstarter got funded in 4 hours, which was insane. We got 300% funded by the end of it. So many lessons learned during this. The comics weren't like officially done probably until like a month and a half, 2 months after the Kickstarter, which is kind of not what I wanted. I wanted the books done beforehand. But we put a lot of pressure on our artists. The end products were totally up to like, where we wanted them to be and stuff like that. It took everyone a lot longer. And during that time, the paper shortage really affected the prices of comics. So luckily we got the extra money that like we weren't asking for, and that like really put us like in a position where we could still print, because that would have been, if we would have just gotten funded with the rise of paper prices, we would have went to everybody. Guys, we could have been funded like 3 months ago, but the paper shortage like changed the prices, so we would have had to pivot or something. It could have been a disaster, but we had such solid support from people that we were still able to print comics. We were still able to pay everyone for their work, so and everything worked out like really good. So the thing is too, I've tried to explain this to people, and for the most part, comic book people get it. And the thing is, my point of view is, if I can get you hooked on a 6-page story and you'll buy it, and we can sell out of that entire run of the 6-page ash cans, they call them in comics, then that tells me that I should write number 1. So, and it's just like, I've told every person that works for us, because like, I mean, we have like 5 teams. We just signed a new team. If you can't sell your comics, you shouldn't be making them. and that goes for me too. So like I have Condry, I have Kroom, and I have the job. And if they don't sell, then I go into editor mode and I go into promoter mode and I help the people that work for my company that are selling comics. I sit down with all of my team members. I mean, our newest team, they're doing a Godfo Universe Polyon 20XX. They're doing a 6-page Ashcan. I've been working with them. I mean, I was on the phone with them at 8:30 this morning talking about social media strategy and things like that. And I told them before we launched the press release, I was like, we're going to do a pre-order. And my real goal is to get like more than half of those comics pre-ordered before the comic even comes out. So when it comes out, I want people to have to like fight tooth and nail for them. And I put those guys under a lot of pressure. This is their first book, but it's just like I told them, what you're doing is what I'm doing times 7. I have to do this for every single person that works for my company. I have to promote everyone's books the way I promote my books. I was like, because otherwise we're not going to make money, And so everything is going great right now. We've definitely made some adjustments. So like Kieran Quinn, who did the art on Condry 4, which was our only 24-page comic, came out great. I mean, I love the way it came out. He also did the art on Legend of the Night Owl, and he did the art on The Job. We had to take him off of one book. 3 books for one person is an insane amount of work. The guy's about to get married. So we had to pivot. So I ended up taking him off of The Job. And the guy that's doing Renfield, the Dracula book, Steve Conjay, him and I are in intense discussion for him to get on The Job and to be the artist for The Job. Just because I really love the way he draws anatomy, and wrestling is all anatomy.
Right.
The moves, getting them, so just like I think he'll be perfect. And he sent me a picture of Dan Dero, like kind of like Rob Van Dam, and he was just screwing around, and I was just like, yep. So like I was already having conversations with my co-owner about like, I love Kieran. Like this whole journey for me in comics started because Kieran and I did Condry. Without Condry, there is no Legacy Comix, And I had a conversation with Kieran, and I'm like, you're getting married, and I'm like, you nailed all 3 of these books. All 3 of these books look great. I'm like, but you cannot continue to do 3 books. That's insane. That's insane. And he's like, I'll do it though. Like he's amazing. The guy's amazing. And I was just like, no, we need you alive. So I want you to. So I really have a lot of faith in Legend of the Night Owl. So it's just like I want like my top artist working on Condry and Night Owl, and then Steve is so good, and Steve's gonna do The Job. So that's what we're basically in sell mode now. We have 2 signings coming up, one on May 21st and one on May 28th, and then we're doing ZoloCon in Pennsylvania on July 23rd and July 24th. So my whole goal is to get rid of all of our comics by then, and then our next run of comics is going to be coming out probably the end of July, and one of those is going to be Godfo Universe, 0, and I'm super proud of that team. So Joshua Adams, who was introduced to me by a certain strapping bearded man, I don't know, I forgot his name. What's his name?
A lot of options here.
No, but Darrell made an amazing connection, and Joshua Adams is an amazing artist, and he did. There's a character in Condry named Sarita, and she's kind of like his sidekick, but she's an ass kicker all by herself. And I wanted to tell more of her backstory through a one shot, and I wanted to bring in another artist because I didn't want, like, again, Kieran was already doing 3 books, so I'm like, I want to bring in another artist. And that's the thing, as a writer, you want to work with as many artists as possible because you want to have the creative juices flowing with as many different people as possible. So to me, a great penciler can draw a script, a 24-page script, in like a week or 2. And Josh not only penciled it, he penciled it, inked it, and colored it in like 3 weeks. So I looked at that and I'm like, this is somebody that like I can have a successful financial relationship with. Then on top of it, I get along beautifully with people from the South. I love people from down South because they don't play games. They tell you straight up, like, and Josh is just like, well, I don't like this page. Why don't we do this? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just like, why don't we do this? And he goes, well, that's different from what you have here. I'm like, yeah, but now you just got me thinking. And we just had this really cool synergy going back and forth. and he added like this splash page that wasn't originally in there, but we modified the script a little bit. We had this great back and forth. So after that was over, he was just like from day one pitching me Godfoe, and I met Dan and we had a nice Zoom call, and Dan is a super nice guy, and we were just like, yeah, let's do an Ashcan together, and let's see if we have something here, because I mean, Josh and Dan's end goal is to do a really sexy graphic novel series, and I would love to publish a graphic novel. I would love to, it just, we've got to make sure that like people want it. So that's why originally they were like, oh, let's do the graphic novel, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why don't we tease this first? And he's like, well, what do you mean, blah, blah, blah. And I actually, what Darrell just explained when he read the job, that like it ends and you're just like, no, wait, what? That's it? Come on. So when the job 1 comes out, Darrell's going to be like, that Ashcan was really cool. It was well written. It looked good. And then you're going to jump into 1. So this is the thing too. In comics, issue number 2 usually sells like half as much as issue number 1, because people buy number 1 because it's the number 1.
Yep.
And people buy issue 2 because they're invested and they want to stay in. So I'm sure there's comics that you guys have in your collection where you're not a fan of the series, but you have the number 1 because it's the number 1.
That's correct.
So my whole thing is, it's just like, I love breaking things. I love like blowing shit up in Deus Ex until the map explodes. I love getting to the corner of the map on Fallout 3 and you can't go anymore, even though it looks like you can continue walking. So it's just like, for me, I said to myself, and I said to my business partner, John Svedesi, I'm like, how do we break that issue 2 curse? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what if our issue 2 is really like issue 3? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we'll do issue 0s for every single comic, and issue 0 will only be 6 pages, and it'll be like a really like sneak peek into the series. If it doesn't sell, it's only a 6-page comic, so publication costs will be significantly less. So it's low risk, it's high reward. So issue number 1 is really like issue number 2, and issue 2 is really like issue number 3, and so on. And he's like, he goes, you're insane. I'm like, yep. And it worked for Condry. It hooked people for Condry. And I really think like moving forward, it's definitely going to work for the job. I think the job is going to have a really good built-in audience, especially considering like my background in professional wrestling, and then like the stuff with Wrestlequest can only help the job too.
Right.
So it's a way also to working with people creatively is never easy. And it's just like being like, I'm editor-in-chief of the company. I'm like the daddy. Like everyone comes to me literally like right before this podcast started. Steve Conjay, the man that did the art on Renfield, called me, and I had to shut down the call, and I'm like, I'm on a podcast. He's like, I'm sorry. But it's just like, John Svedesi, he's our chief creative officer. He's like in charge of all the art, but the artists still come to me, because it's just like, when you're the editor-in-chief, you're like the daddy. So the thing is, It's just like, you have to maintain these relationships with all of these people, and doing a 24-page book with somebody is a big financial risk, but then at the same time too, there's so many like creative differences that can occur. So if you do a 6-page book with somebody first, and you can get along with them and not want to strangle them, then you've got somebody that's good that you can do business with. So like every single person that we're working with right now on Legacy like gets it. They understand that like there's not a ton of money to be made in the beginning, and that like we all have to hustle and really like sell our books. And like when we all sell our books, then we all benefit and stuff. And it was so funny, because it's like last night I'm going through like all of our sales, and it's like the difference between like our lowest performing comic and our highest selling comic is like 5 issues. So it's just like there's like this real like parity. On Amazon, it's just like everything is sold like the same amount, and like it's not like on Kickstarter when we were bundling everything together. On Kickstarter, everything's individual, and obviously internally, I have conversations with John, and with the other team members where we think maybe one book is stronger than another, or we think one book might perform better than another, but it's pretty even. It's like having an entire baseball team of like 285 hitters. You don't have like the 300 hitter, but like no one's hitting 250, no one's hitting 240. It's like having a basketball team full of people that get double doubles. Like it's like, wow, it's like great parity right now, and I think that's just a testament to one, how hard everyone's working, but then it's just like every day I'm publicizing everyone's work. So that's kind of like where we're at right now. We have we have like 5 ongoing series, and then we just signed the other team that I just talked about, and then we're going to have the Sarita one shot this summer, and we're actually prepping Legend of the Night Owl 1 for release at the end of the summer too. We're going to have we might have some big announcements on the availability of that book, because again, we're never going to be in a situation where we're going to print thousands of books. We're not Marvel, we're not DC. So my thing is always like, how do we make the book exclusive, but then make it exclusive enough that like people actually want it? Because a lot of smaller companies will print, copies of books, but no one wants them. So my whole thing is like, how do I create buzz around the book that isn't going to have 1,000, but then actually have people want them? It's like, it's super hard. It's like a non-stop thought process that goes into like every single action, That was a really long-winded answer to your question. I apologize.
No, that was perfect. Everything that's what I wanted, because so many things that you said, like I had follow-ups for, and you nailed them. So Josh and I a couple years ago, we started a podcast called the Loot Bros Comic Cast, where we get together and we would just kind of cover certain series, things like that. And then the busier he got and the busier I got, we kind of went away from it. And then now we've brought it back. So we had a conversation about Godfoe 2 weeks ago. That's live now. And he said the same thing, because I asked him, I was like, how is it working with Patrick? I mean, like, my interaction with you have been great. It's been awesome. And I was like, how is it working with the guy? Because, you don't know somebody until you A, marry them, or B, work with them. And sometimes you have to see both those sides. And he said the same thing. He said, you guys get along great. Y'all work really well together, the way you're riffing on each other and coming up with ideas. And he told the splash page story as well. So it was cool, man. And I got a lot of respect for that dude as a friend of his. We played music together, not in bands together, but like tangentially, like at the same time frame. And then we ran the same circles, but we never really hung out. And it wasn't until I started hiring him to do stuff for my band and for the podcast that we really started, like hanging, sometimes actually hanging out, and then doing a lot of stuff together, creative wise. And he's a great dude. I can't say enough nice things about him. And I think I just knew, man, I was like, man, if I could get you two together, that like you hit it off. And it was just because you were so kind and so easy and accessible in messages. And this dude's work ethic is so good. I'm like, if you guys could just meet, I don't know. It worked out. It worked out really well. And he's a great dude.
It worked out beautifully. And I'll always be thankful for you, because I feel like that Sarita book is probably one of the best things that I've ever written. So like as far as fiction goes. So the fact that you put that together, I mean, I didn't do anything. I was just like letting two people talk. You guys did it all, and y'all's work is what did it. And it's so cool because you said, you post on social media the little pictures, and it's so funny because you give me teasers and he doesn't. And me and him and friends a lot longer. So I'm like, how are you guys both so tight-lipped, but then like he's a little bit tighter, but you've been posting stuff on social media and it looks so good. I'm excited. Too, like I'm trying to teach them now, like how to market their product,
Absolutely.
And that's such another funny thing, because like when we were working on the Sarita book together, he knew that like I was going to handle all of that stuff.
Right.
Like I was going to be the promoter, and I was going to put the book in front of as many people as possible. But now I'm explaining to him and Dan, like, this is the way you have to run your Instagram. This is the way you have to run your Facebook. This is what we're going to do on our end, but this is what you have to do, and blah, 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 blah. And it's wild. And I'm sure over the past couple of days, they've been like, man, Pat does not fuck around. And Pat is very methodical and stuff like that. But it's just like, that's the way.
You got to be.
That's the way you have to be, and I know Josh gets it.
If you guys won't sell your own book, who's going to sell it? People ain't going to do it for you. So, So I went ahead, and I know the pre-order is now live for everybody for the Godfoe universe, Apollyon 20XX, the first book. I pre-ordered 3 copies of it. I was like, I got to have you guys sign one. I got to have one framed. And then I got to have one that I can read. And I was like, you know what? I might go back for more. But I was, he sent me the link for the Friends and Family link, So I jumped on there. And so definitely we'll have all that stuff circulating in the Loot Bros podcast groups, Discords, all of our social stuff. We'll get behind it and push it. I'll constantly be telling people, hey, these are our boys. You got to check them out. So
this is the thing too that I have to say about this book. One of the reasons why I wanted to add this book into our catalog, and it's just like I have to make a wrestling reference here that like running this company, I totally feel like Paul Heyman in like 1994, 1995. Like I totally feel that way. Where it's just like I find artists and writers that like may have submitted to Dark Horse and Image and didn't get answers, or somebody like Josh who just was super talented and never submitted anywhere, and kind of give them the platform that they deserve. So Josh's work on Sarita, if you guys haven't seen it, it's all over our social media, it's all over our website and stuff. We're still teasing it. It's awesome. It's great. So it's just like for that reason alone, had to give him a shot. But then when you guys see this ash can, it's kind of like it's a marriage of like really gritty comic book noir and like manga, in a way that like if you stay up late and watch Adult Swim, you'll totally be a fan of this stuff. But it's just like it a lot of that stuff for me comes off a little wacky sometimes. Like it's not really like based in like any type of like reality. Like you have to super suspend your disbelief to enjoy it.
right.
And the thing that I like about this is like it hooks you in enough that like you go, I know this isn't happening, but it'd be really, really cool if it did. And it looks different than our other comics, but the quality of the art is fantastic. Dan's writing is super solid on it. It was just a no-brainer to bring it in. And we've gotten a lot of pre-orders so far, so I'm going to tell people this right now. You guys if you want this book, you should pre-order it. You should absolutely pre-order it. So the ash can is not going to be around very long. The way things are right now, they're going fast, and like I tried to explain to Josh and Dan that like, so what we did day one is like I just sent out social media all over the place, and Dan and Josh were like, well, how do you think it performed? And I'm like, well, if we did bad, it got out to like 50,000 people. If it did bad, and I'm like, but if like we got retweets and stuff, I'm like, we're talking like it got out to like a whole bunch of people, and then the next day we did the pre-order and stuff like that. So it's just like there's like this rolling. It's like if you've ever played Animal Crossing before, you see the snowball, you kick it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, that's what we're doing here. So it's just like no one knows who you are. We send out a blurb, a press release, we light up our social media, we start kicking the snowball. So I'm like, so now the book is largely finished, but it's not going to come out until like July. So we have plenty of time to kick that snowball around. So now it's just like now we're in the process of like teaching Dan and Josh how to kick the snowball for themselves, and then have me come and kick the snowball for them too. So we get a ton of momentum and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. It's another side of like what I do. So it's just like people look at me as like a writer, an editor, a voice actor and stuff. But I mean, I obviously have this background in public relations now and stuff like that. And I mean, for 6 years I've been selling Minds Behind the Games books, and selling a $40 book is a hard sell, so but I've done pretty well at it. So like selling a $5 comic book, I mean, that's a lot easier, especially when you have amazing stories being told. And so that book is really something solid. Like it's really, really cool, to the point where it's just like this is something that could totally be licensed out.
Oh,
as a video
absolutely.
game, as a film, as an anime, action figures.
The whole concept of the Godfo universe is just so good. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends, like, because he didn't even really explain it to me until we did a podcast together 2 weeks ago. And he's been working on this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Both those guys. Yeah. And when he explained it to me, I was like, bro, like when you say Godfo, I'm like, okay, well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the word God in it. It's whatever. But then when he explained what Godfo was, I was like, dude, that is awesome. So yeah, totally. Match made in heaven, you guys. I just wish you all the best success. You guys are gonna be great. You'll at least, if nothing else, you'll have one cheerleader right here buying all the stuff, pre-ordering the books. Patrick, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and talk with us, man. Man. I know you got, little ones you're dealing with, sick ones, you got the wife on duty, all that good stuff, man. And the fact that you've given us over an hour of your time is a big deal. So we definitely appreciate it. We were totally stoked and looking forward to doing this.
110%.
Thank you guys. It means a lot. If you guys have any other questions, like just throw them at me. I'm down. It's up to you. You
guys got anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I don't know. You guys want to talk a little wrestling real quick? We could talk wrestling. I mean, I know today is a special day for me. I mean, it's Owen Hart's birthday. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. So,
yep.
Rest in peace, Owen.
When you were talking about Jeff Jarrett, it kind of resonated because Jeff Jarrett was actually supposed to wrestle with Owen the day he died.
Dude, that promo he cut on that Monday Night Raw, I cried hard.
I watched it. I watched it back since they're going through the Owen Hart Foundation tournament right now, and that episode was rough. Like you could tell, like Jim Ross couldn't have the words. He just didn't have the words to say after that. And Matt Hardy had a lot of kind words to say as well. I listened to him speak about it, and it was he definitely was taken too early. I would love to see where he would be today for sure.
There's so many like what ifs. Like a big thing with me is like I could totally have seen Vince put the world title on Owen just as kind of like a slap in the face to Brett. You know, like but then this is the thing though too, like Owen was good enough to be world heavyweight champion. You know, and he had won every other title. He had won every other title that he grabbed that brass ring a bunch of times, you know, and he had done the job for the company several times too, you know, so it's like he shouldn't have been Blue Blazer, like that gimmick that shouldn't have happened.
Apparently that was going away right after he was supposed to win the title that night, and then the Blue Blazer gimmick was supposed to get away, and then apparently he was supposed to get a shot at the title at SummerSlam. That was the rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest travesty is that they never followed through at WrestleMania 10. Like it never really followed through after. Like there should have been more to that feud. Owen should have won the title at SummerSlam that year. It should have been his time, and it never was, and it's kind of sad. Like as a huge Owen Hart fan, I mean, I've said some pretty bad things about Martha, and I regret it to this day. And if I ever met her, I would tell her the truth that I said some pretty bad things about you. But I respect the lady. I read her book, and God bless her for what she had to go through in her life. And
if you just watch The Dark Side of the Ring,
I cried, man.
You know, like, and that's probably only a quarter of the story.
My wife watched me cry as she pulled the cannabiner out of the friggin' bag that he felt that broke. I was like, oh my God, like, and that was one of the best documentary things I've ever seen on wrestling, like ever. Like that episode was just so well handled and so well done, and they did such an amazing job of putting that whole thing together. And they've done a million episodes. They've done what, like 20 something episodes at this point, and they're doing more. I think they're working on the new season now, but they're being kind of hush hush about it, and that's why people thought the show was canceled and all this other stuff. But I just can't believe how amazing a wrestler he was, and how ahead of his time he was. Like just how acrobatic he was, and how he would have fit so well with that next generation that was just about to break through. Like imagine if he would have gotten in the ring with like a Rob Van Dam. Like just imagine that match.
The biggest problem with that is and they even said it is he wasn't trying to do it for the long haul.
No, he's gonna be
he was trying to get out too.
Yeah,
he wanted to be a fireman or something.
He wanted he wanted to spend more time with his family. He from everything I've heard from everyone, he was like the biggest family man. He was like in the time back then when it was drugs and alcohol and partying. He was like the straightest one.
So this is the thing too to tie back into Wrestlequest. Some of the storylines in Wrestlequest are totally going to mirror some of the things that we're talking about right now. There are going to be wrestlers that are going to be like, man, I just want to go home. You know, I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, it's going to encapsulate like the best and worst of the industry. And that's why, like, when I was saying before, like how special Zach Manco's writing is on this. So, like, all of you guys are all hyped now because of the 30 licensed characters of the RPG, combat system and stuff. But man, if you play an RPG and you don't get a little teary, if you don't get a little pissed off, then they did it wrong. And there are going to be several moments over the course of this game where you're just going to be like, man, that hit me super hard. You know, so the way like you guys are talking now about Owen, there's going to be several moments in this game where you're just going to be like, man, that got to me.
I just think
love is in this game.
I just think it's crazy, like thinking like it's going to encapsulate one of the greatest. It seems like it's going to encapsulate one of the two greatest eras of wrestling, which are like the golden era of wrestling from the mid 80s and early 80s to the New Generation era, which a lot of people bag on the New Generation era, but it's one of my favorite eras because it's what I grew up on. And it had characters. And I think that's what made the New Generation different from most anything WWE's ever done since. Like, the characters were just through the roof. Like, and it was the breeding point for the Attitude Era. It all started in New Generation. Like, all those guys that never got a shot because they were under the foot of Hogan or under the foot of, like, Bret Hart, that finally started to move through the chain. It's just... And like you were saying, a lot of like what if scenarios. Like, there's a lot of crazy ones. Even with Owen Hart, like, what if Stone Cold never got dropped on his neck? I honestly, to God honest truth, if Stone Cold would have never got dropped on his neck, he never would have became a brawler, and he never would have had the career he had, because he never would have reached the heights he had if he didn't wrestle the style that he wrestled.
I mean, in terms of like what ifs, I one of the ones that always comes back to me is like Brian Pillman. Like, what if Brian Pillman never gets in that car accident? Because, I mean, this is, like, one of the greatest, like, minds in professional wrestling. And he was just, like, one of the coolest. There's so many of them. Like, what if WCW is actually bought by Bischoff? Because, I mean, that was what they were trying to do. You know?
He tried so hard.
WCW got that second life, you know?
There'd be no AEW.
Yeah.
There'd be no TNA.
Yep. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to live in a world where 2002 to 2009 TNA does not exist.
That was so
like
good.
The X Division stuff, like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Christopher Sabin, Alex Shelley, Austin Aries. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. Like, so good.
I stand by it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Joe. I stand by the fact that AJ Styles and Kurt Angle's best of 3 match on a random Impact was better than most of what we get these days. There was a point in time where Impact would give me chill bumps. I would just be like, the wrestling and the storytelling was so good. And you would have
those Iron Man matches between AJ and Christopher Daniels. I mean, Samoa Joe and Angle, like,
People sleep on Impact now. I actually think it's really good.
They're doing a really great job. An era I really enjoyed of Impact, and we were just kind of piggybacking off of what you said about how much you like cinematic wrestling and stuff like that was when Matt Hardy became Big Money Matt Hardy for the first time, and then became Broken Matt Hardy. Like, and I listened to that whole series. I listened to him talk about it, and I just rewatched everything, and I was like, why don't we get more of this? And then we saw WWE turn Undertaker's like last match into a cinematic match, and it just wasn't the same. Because
the producer wasn't Keith Mitchell, and Keith Mitchell is retired now, so you'll never see anything quite like that anymore.
Is he retired, or is he going to AEW? Because
no, he worked for AEW for the first like 2.5 years that they were in business. He just retired from AEW.
Oh, he did? Okay, that's what I thought. He worked for AEW. I thought that's where he went. He went to AEW, right? But
he started in World Class Championship Wrestling. Then he went to WCW. Then he went to NWA TNA, and then he went to AEW. So 40 years in wrestling, and like never in WWE. You know, it just but some of the best shot matches. Like, I mean, you know,
110%.
So
can I just say that where we're at in wrestling right now is very exciting, to where you have the Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW championship belts showing up at different promotions, including WWE. Mickie James showing up with the Impact Women's Championship. The fact they did that, and then now you got this AEW opening the forbidden door, bringing in New Japan Wrestling. Like, there was a point in time where we were like, yeah, we'll never get this. And here we are. We are here. It's a pretty incredible time to be a wrestling fan.
Absolutely. And for me, it's just like, it's a fusion of all of these things that we love. And that's why it's just like one of the biggest things during PAX where people were like, why do you think this game was never created before? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm sure happy that it exists now, you know? So it's just like, we're having things now, like you said, like the Impact champion showing up on, you know, WWE and stuff. And this is stuff that should have happened a long time ago. And see, the thing is, it used to happen a lot of the times. Like the IWGP champion used to show up on Nitro all the time. You know, like in the NWA back in the day, you would have Ric Flair showing up as NWA champion in all of these promotions. But then it's just like everyone got so used to the way that WWE did things that they forgot that things like this used to happen. You know,
WWE used to bring people in.
Yes. Yeah, when they had Smoky Mountain invade, when they had NWA invade, when they had all sorts of, when they had ECW do their first invasion that no one remembers anymore.
That's amazing.
And you had Ric Flair walking out with the big green belt, the big gold belt. I'm sorry, imagine the big green belt, the big gold belt. In
that
WWE.
gold belt was so good. That was a good one.
Yeah,
what's it going to take to get another WWF No Mercy? What's it going to take to get another game like that?
So this is the thing. I'll tell you guys a quick story before I go. This is actually part of this story is in my next book. Well, not my next book. It's going to be my 7th book, The Minds Behind the PlayStation 2 Games, where I interviewed the producer of Def Jam Vendetta. Def Jam Vendetta was supposed to be a WCW game. What happened was after No Mercy. Yes, after No Mercy, the Nintendo 64 is like, on its last leg, blah, blah, blah. But what happens is EA had the rights to WCW games, and the developer that did the first 2 games, Kodiak Interactive, did WCW Mayhem, which sold over 1 million copies. Yes, but it sold over 1 million copies, so it made money. So then, for some reason, though, instead of building off of that first, and so this is the thing too, every first game in a series is never perfect. The gameplay engines need to be fine-tuned and stuff. If a game gets to like 3, like, WCW Mayhem 3, and they haven't found like the secret sauce yet, then we can say that it sucks. But like every first game in a series usually is not anywhere near as polished as it should be. So anyway, the Aki team has WCW versus the World on PlayStation, which is the father of all of these games. Then they have Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and 2 on the Nintendo 64, which turns into WCW versus NWO World Tour, WCW Revenge, WWF WrestleMania 2000, and then No Mercy. So then what happens is, for some reason, WWE goes with Ukes to develop their games. So now Aki doesn't have a company to work with, but they have this amazing gameplay engine. So now EA signs with Aki to do a WCW game. There's a couple of, if you really hunt, you can find the video game magazines that say new WCW game being made by Aki. It's like basically the sequel to Revenge. Okay? And it's supposed to be for like GameCube, PS2, the whole 9 yards. What happens during this entire process is WCW goes out of business. So now EA has a contract with Aki to do 1 game with them. They're basically like, what the hell are we going to do? There's no WCW. Acclaim has like the Legends of Wrestling thing down. They're like, what the hell are we going to do? So then a young producer is like, well, we have this license with Def Jam Music. Like, what if we do like a fighting game with all of these hip hop characters and stuff like that? So this poor producer had to like basically go to all of these rappers' houses and say, can we use your likeness in the game? So there's like actually one story where like one of the assistant producers goes to like DMX's house and is like, listen, we want to put you in the game. And DMX is like, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let my pit bulls out. And if you like don't flinch, if you can handle my 2 pit bulls, then you can then you can put me in the game. And it was just like these poor producers had to go through so much stuff to get like in, like to get all of these guys in the game. That's one side of the story. So some people were super easy to work with, like Snoop Dogg, super easy to work with. He understood, he knows his brand would be perfect for the game, da-da-da. Some of these other rappers were incredibly difficult to work with. So that's one side of the story. The other side of the story is like Aki is basically like, we're saving your ass because you're going to use our gameplay engine to make this. Without our gameplay engine, you don't really have a game. We're going to make the Def Jam characters like come alive in the game because we're going to use this engine that we've made some of the most successful wrestling games of all time. So you're going to be nice. And EA is kind of like, well, we're EA, so you're going to make the game that we want. So now you have this back and forth between EA and Aki over and over and over again. So now you have a language barrier, you have a time barrier, and then for some reason, Aki refused pretty much the entire development process to acknowledge the fact that there were ever any bugs in their game ever at any time. So now every time EA would play the game, they would be like, listen, there's like a freeze here, like there's a clipped animation, we need to fix this. And they're like, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Like that's supposed to be like that, blah, blah, blah. And EA's like, no, there's a bug in the game, we need to fix it. Like this is a part of like a normal development cycle, So then EA had to fly like another producer to Japan to work with Aki to make sure that they got the game in on time. And this guy was basically getting locked out of the building because they didn't want him in there. And it was just like, what a disaster. So if you talk to like the EA people, they're like, yeah, Def Jam sold well, but we're not like really proud of it. We don't care about it. And then, but the game did well enough that they had to do Fight for New York, and Fight for New York is considered to be another like gem that people love. But the team at EA were like, yeah, I love that game. But the people at EA were basically like, we're done with Aki after this. We do not want to work with them anymore. And that's why the PS3 Def Jam is produced by, I'm pretty sure Digital Dreams Entertainment does it. That's Michael Menheim's publisher. And that's the guy that did Mutant League Football, Mutant League Hockey, and stuff like that. Because they wanted to get away from Aki. So now Aki has probably changed their name so many times. So the average person like has a hard time finding out who they are. So they were originally called the Man Breeze. Then they changed their name to Asmic Ace. Then they were Aki. And now I'm pretty sure they're Sin Sophia, but they may have changed their name again. But they haven't done like a wrestling game in a really long time. But the fact of the matter is, man, that like the last WCW game was Backstage Assault. Ugh. And it could have been made by the same people that made Revenge. And a lot of people don't know this, but Revenge is the best-selling Nintendo 64 wrestling game of all time. It actually outsold No Mercy. You know, and one of the reasons for that, and this is the last thing I'll tell you guys before I bounce, the first 50,000 or so copies of No Mercy, I own one of them, did not have a battery inside. So what does that tell you? What couldn't you do in the game?
Couldn't save.
So a lot of people just returned their game, didn't get another one, and then told all their friends that the game wouldn't save. So like No Mercy is like one of the greatest wrestling games of all time. But like since that initial print run had that issue, a lot of people didn't go back and buy another copy. So that hurt its overall sales when it's a far better game than Revenge and, you know, WrestleMania 2000. So if you want to read more of those stories, then read The Minds Behind the Games by Patrick Hickey Jr. So, but that's, you know, that's neither here nor there. So,
that is awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Man.
Patrick, you're the freaking man, dude. Thank you for this.
I try.
Thank you. The guys were really hoping we could get a little wrestling talk, and I was like, man, we got to be careful with his time, dude. He's got a lot going on. So I'm glad we were able to do that.
I'm happy I hope I like gave you your wrestling and wrestling game fix. If I didn't, then we'll have to talk again another time.
Oh, you know what?
You guys,
we're gonna have to talk again.
You guys can message me whenever you want.
That's right. I'm gonna call it in. We're gonna have to talk again, Zach. You're right. That's right. Didn't quite get my fix.
Sure.
So awesome. Well, Patrick, we'll be posting all your socials, links to Legacy, links to all your stuff in the show notes, the bio. Thank you again for your time. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you guys. It's the Loot Bros Podcast, and we're out of here. All right, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that conversation with Patrick. He was awesome having him on. Cool dude. Love it. Absolutely great stuff. So, as per usual, I like to end the show with a song. This one is the theme song to my 2236 Survival Horror podcast. This song is called It's Safe. This one was a Resident Evil inspired song that I wrote with my side project, RPD Resurrection Pending Death. So here you go.